Welcome to Phone Booth Fighting, everybody. I'm Richard Hunter. He is the two-time UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Frank Mir, our twice-weekly podcast from inside the Phone Booth Fighting bunker, deep inside the bowels of stately Mir Manor here in suburban Las Vegas, is about to commence. Thanks for tuning in. We have a very, very big show. There's a lot of moving parts to this show. There's multiple guests. There's multiple guests from multiple professions. There's going to be an in-studio guest here in the bunker. There's just a lot going on, a lot of multimedia aspects to this thing, so we're going to have to get right to it as soon as we talk about Earth's Brew, Frank, our sponsor, Earth's Brew. Go beyond alcohol to a state of relaxation and mental clarity and get in the present with Earth's Brew. You see the box of Earth's Brew that always sits on the table here inside the Phone Booth Fighting bunker, and what we like to do is just take a little packet of this out, mix it up in some water, and you have yourselves a 100% plant-based path to relaxation. Alcohol-free, sugar-free as well. It is the next evolution. And relaxation, get in the present with Earth's Brew. And right now, Frank, I believe that Jonathan and Joe, the Phone Booth Fighting listeners who created Earth's Brew, have a special offer just for Phone Booth Fighting listeners.
They do. If you go to earthsbrew.com and you enter promo code PhoneBooth for 10% off all orders. So a little bit of advantage of being a Phone Booth Fighting fan. You can get a little bit advantages on a discount.
10% off with the promo code PhoneBooth at earthsbrew.com. We appreciate those guys. All right. Joining us to kick off the show via Skype, all the way from the land down under. We're starting off the show today, Frank, with an international flavor. It is the Angry Panda. Anthony Johns is on from Australia via Skype. Anthony, nice to meet you, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you guys?
We're great. We're great. It's good to see you up here on the big screen inside the Phone Booth Fighting bunker. And fight fans will be familiar with seeing you fight around the world. I know you got you're coming back over stateside here in the next couple of weeks, and you got to stop into the bunker and visit maybe when you're here. We'd like to have you in person. But first things first, we have you on for kind of an interesting reason. You're about to hear us. You're going to hear us talk about a story that nobody else is really covering. You know, a lot of times the big stories in MMA, everybody's got their own take on it, but you're seeing all the major outlets and podcasts, et cetera, covering it. This is one that not a lot of people are talking about specifically because maybe a lot of people don't have the close connection to it that our own Frank Mir has. I'm going to let you kind of set this up, Frank, because this involves the perils, the pitfalls of being a fighter, fighting in smaller independent promotions and what can happen, and that's why we have Anthony on.
Well, it's something that I'm hoping is not going to become the trend to start coming forward. So far now I'm aware of 2 different shows just in the last couple months of this happening on, where guys go and train, prepare for a fight, told they're going to get paid to show up, paid for their time, paid for the expenses that they've incurred to train for a fight, the guys they've had to pay out, travel expenses, everything that has to go along with preparing for a battle. And in the end, they don't get paid. And I don't know if it's because of, I don't think that it's because of people trying to just purposely go out going, look, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to screw fighters over. It might just be from just inexperience. Everybody sees the model of the UFC, the Bellators, the ACBs of the world, and go, wow, these guys are making money. I think I can jump in this too. And they're not prepared. But the problem is that guys like Anthony here and several guys on the card, and the reason why this came to my attention was it was a card that I was involved in. And so I'm a little bit kind of a little embarrassed that I was a part of a production that this actually occurred. And guys like the people that follow the UFC, Steve Kennedy are a part of. There was a guy named Grujic that's a part of. And I've gone through with a couple of my contacts that I have still in Australia. And I'm finding out that very few people that fought on this card going back in January have ever been paid. And we're going now 3 or 4 months down. And I could not imagine, and that's why I want to talk to Anthony about it, what that would do. I mean, if I prepared for a battle, training, all the sacrifice, because, these guys are taking time away from training people, taking time off from work. There's a lot of sacrifices financially these guys are making, thinking that at least at this point in their career, they're at least going to break even. They're not making it rich, fighting. I've seen what the payouts are on some of these guys. Most likely, hopefully, they don't lose money on this venture.
Yeah.
And then to not get paid in the end, it could end a lot of guys' careers where now they're in such a hole, they can't go to the gym. They have to pick up a 9 to 5 and maybe another shift at night to be able to make up for the fact that their rent hasn't been paid in a couple months. They have dues, and we're talking, I'm not even bringing in kids into the equation. Anthony has firsthand experience with this situation. He's one of the guys I'm talking about that actually suffered greatly on that card that has yet to be compensated for his services.
Well, Anthony, you must be one angry panda about all this. Where did this happen? Kind of give us the setup of what happened and how everything went down.
So my ultimate goal is obviously UFC, and I wanted to improve my striking to get me to that level. James had relocated to the Gold Coast. We'd linked up. And
James McSweeney.
Yeah, we need to explain. James, former UFC fighter, was promoting the show, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we linked up and we were training for quite some time. So he became my striking coach. And then he told me that he was doing a local show on the Gold Coast in Australia. So he wanted me to be a part of that. So I put my name down for it, obviously. He was saying that Frank was coming out for the show. Sam Greco was coming to the show. There was a lot of stars coming to the show. It was meant to be a big show on the Gold Coast. So yeah, I put my name down for it, and I promoted that show as best I could. Every fight that I have, I'm always promoting the show and the fights the best way I can, and I put 100% into everything I do. So I promoted the show. I had a pretty big following in Australia and on the Gold Coast, so I got as many people there as I could. I reckon I sold about 90% of the ticket sales were from my behalf, and I didn't get a kickback from that.
The way the crowd cheered when he came out, I'm not going to dispute that fact. He probably had one of the strongest ovations when we were sitting there. And he's right. Anthony talked about some of the people. There was myself as a commentator. You had Sam Greco. You had Lenny Hart from Pride Days was announcing the fights.
Yeah.
She was the MC.
Yeah, yeah. So this happened. Now, was it? And we should probably back up and explain to people, because the casual fan may just be familiar with, you in the UFC or Bellator or wherever, you have a contract and all that sort of thing, and that's true. But when you're fighting on independent shows, you agree to terms, but you're not off. A lot of times you're not paid anything in advance, right? You would be paid after the show. Was that the way it was promised to you, Anthony, or were you guaranteed anything in advance?
So no, not in advance pay-wise, but normally on a lot of shows in Australia, I don't know about America, but you get the fighter, depending on ticket sales individually, they'll get a kickback, a percentage of the ticket sales.
Yeah.
So you will keep that money, and then you give the promoter his cut, and then you get paid your money for the fight after the fight.
Yeah, they do that here in the U.S. too. What he's saying is that some shows on the smaller level basically put the burden, and helps out that they'll allot somebody like an Anthony. Okay, here's 200 tickets.
Right.
You sell them. You get to keep, 40% of the profit. Okay. Give us, or, whatever percentage they work out. So that way it's filling the house up it's putting seats in there. It gives incentive that, that they can make money. Sense. Yeah, and so that is a common practice.
Yeah, and then I'm not going to specifically ask you what you were supposed to make, Anthony, but were fighters, either yourself or other fighters that you knew on this card, were you also guaranteed minimum amounts to fight in addition for any commissions, that were on the tickets? Were some fighters guaranteed money?
No fighters, as far as I'm aware, were guaranteed money on the tickets. fighters were given contracts. X amount to turn up.
No, that's what that was my question.
No, absolutely. In fact, that's one of the things I sent you. One of our mutual friends was able to figure out through talking just kind of curious, like, were these guys being promised exorbitant amounts of money?
No, I saw the amount.
Yeah, and so that was actually their guaranteed payouts that they were supposed to receive after the fight.
Okay, so Anthony, you would have been, it's like you're going to get this amount to show up, and then in addition to that, if you sell tickets, we're going to give you percentages off the tickets. That was loosely based. That was the deal, right?
There was the contract, but there was nothing to do with tickets. It was just tickets were tickets, and then it was just the contract. So we were guaranteed X amount to show up to fight, and then if you win, you get a win bonus.
Okay, and then you how'd you do, by the way? Did you win your fight?
It was my first loss.
Oh no!
So
man,
we worked on it the next morning because he was actually winning the whole entire fight.
Yeah,
he got caught in a choke, and he just made a real tactical error on one side to the other, and basically he could have easily pushed the guy off and blocked it. Mm-hmm. And the next morning when I showed Anthony, like, look, if you'd have done this, you'd have been back in the fight.
Okay,
because he was. I mean, he's a very good striker. He was bashing the guy in, and the guy was able to wrap the neck. And trust me, the guy didn't want to get back up to his feet, and so I think it's something that Anthony will never lose to again. But he got caught that night.
Well, at least there's the silver lining, Anthony, because it's not all independent shows where one of the members of the broadcasting crew can give you a private lesson the next day, and it's anything worthwhile. So there you go. At least Frank was on the crew.
It was great.
So that happened. So the way this would normally work, and Frank, I've been with you on some of the shows that you work where, you'll ACB and the others, will be back at the hotel, and then you go with the promoter and the promoter pays you and that sort of thing. So waiting until after the show on these type of shows is in and of itself not anything particularly surprising. No. But the part about not getting paid is. So maybe let's pick it up from there. So the idea would be, Anthony, that after the show you would go to the promoter and say, okay, I've got to get paid my show money, and then anything I'm getting back on the tickets. And then what happened at that point? Were you paid anything at all?
So on previous fights that I've had before on a local scene, as soon as you walk out of the cage, you get handed an envelope full of cash. That's how I've always been dealt with.
Okay.
Some shows do 7 business days after bank transfer.
Yeah.
As far as I'm aware, I think Bellator's a few weeks after, from what I've been told. But yeah, that's how it normally works. So we gave James an exorbitant amount of time. I mean, I was contacting Frank, he was contacting me. Everyone was in the loop, and everyone was being very patient. And then 6 weeks passed, 8 weeks passed, still nothing. And it's led to this.
And were you hearing anything by way of a response? Were you getting any kind of explanation or excuses or anything like that? Chords. Just wiggle it.
Put your finger up so he knows to stop. If you can hear us, Anthony, don't talk anymore. Hold on a second.
Okay, try now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
now you're back.
Sorry, I'm gonna ask you to pick that up because your microphone cut out there for a second.
It was on our end, man.
Yeah. Our apologies.
Yep.
So did you get anything in the way of excuses or explanation or anything like that when you reached out?
We just kept getting told 3 days, 5 days, next week, and then I just couldn't be associated with that, and people were asking me, "Where's the money?" And that had nothing to do with me. I was obviously, he was my striking coach, but I had nothing to do with money or the show. That was fully disconnected from me. So that was affecting me in my personal life. So I had to disconnect from that, and I left. I left James, and then I obviously was talking to Frank and other fighters, and yeah, it's now, what are we now? We're in May now, and still no one's been paid. And this, as far as I'm aware.
And was it was it February? When was this? When was the event? January. January, end of January. Okay.
January 28th, I believe, right?
So,
27th?
So the first thing I think, Frank, when I hear this is that if I'm going to put on a show, I need to have one of two things. I either need to have the cash in hand for the guarantees that I'm making so that if we don't sell one ticket, in theory, I'll be able to pay everyone, or I need to have a high enough credit limit on my credit card or personal loan or whatever it is with my bank that if I have to go into the red, if I have to go into debt to pay everybody, either way, I've got some kind of resource. I can't just bank on the idea that I'm going to promise these amounts of money and then I just have faith that we're going to sell enough tickets to pay for it. I mean, giving benefit of the doubt to somebody that they're not wanting to rip anybody off, it sounds like there was some misplaced faith here without knowing that you had the money in the bank to back it up.
And that's the part that is very frustrating, is that I don't think anybody, all of us have tried to piece together stories and what we've heard personally from James, and what, Anthony, what did you hear? And we've gone through, and like I said, out of the 16 fighters on the card, I think 3 of them have told us that they've actually received any compensation. The rest, going through the whole list, have not been paid. And like I said, some guys that are of notoriety, Steve Kennedy is somebody who's fought on the UFC level, and he wasn't compensated. And we confirmed that this morning. So it's weird. We don't know. That's the thing. I think it's also frustrating to most people. I mean, Anthony could probably attest to that, is that not understanding, where I can go, okay, I think that when I first became part of it, because I had actually ventured into this thinking that I would help out, James in future shows also, and maybe take on more of a role than just commentator.
And you guys are friends. Like, it's not like you didn't know each other. Why you knew him from when he was here in Vegas and that sort of thing. So there's a certain amount of this that's kind of like you're going on faith in a way that you wouldn't if it was just some unknown person that was calling you up saying, hey, I want to put you on a show. Same thing is basically
the situation Anthony is in, that's his coach. He's putting on a show. They're friends. They're he trains them, of course. And so, I asked a few questions, and sure enough, I'm being told that, because I don't want to associate my name with something that's going to blow up in my face, because then who knows who thinks what my participation or responsibility was of the show. That's one thing that really having Anthony on, and now giving a platform for some of these guys to speak, is to show that, like, look, I didn't know that no one wasn't going to get paid. I was not aware of that at all. I was told that there was funding, that there was a money in an account, an escrow, that it was going to be released 2 or 3 days later. And
sort of like what I was describing.
Exactly that. The sponsorship money, it was already taken care of, that through sponsors and other people that invested in the show, that everything was taken care of, and then ticket sales was going to be kind of a bonus, basically for James, to make some money. And the conversation we were having, I hope the tickets do well. That's where I'm going to really make some money off of this. So that conversation's telling me that, okay, well, the fighters and production crew and everybody, the venue is taken care of. And then to find out a couple of days later, I'm getting, through social media, hey, do you know what's going on? Have you spoke to James? He hasn't paid us. And I'm like, you guys didn't get paid? And so then I start, reaching out to different people, like, hey, did you get paid? Did you get paid? And then I'm finding out more than often than not that these guys didn't get paid. And, I was there. I mean, my face was on the poster. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's get, that I'm talking to James and being told, like, the story kept switching up.
Are you hearing the same thing that Anthony's hearing about it's going to be a few days?
Yeah, I was told, no, I'm going to take care of them in a couple of days. And even the last thing I was told, that everybody but just maybe 3 fighters have been paid. And then I go back again and I talk to the different fighters and I call them up, because social media, it's not hard to get a hold of people. And I find out that, no, that's not the case. I can't imagine that 10 different individuals are going to lie to me and tell me that they didn't get paid. For what purpose? Yeah.
It's, and Anthony, as far as how the show did, I've seen this many a time where, and I wasn't there at this one, but there's been lots of times where I've seen someone, a promoter, maybe make the mistake of thinking, well, UFC is popular, so all we have to do is put on an MMA show and people will come, and they don't realize all the promotion that's involved with it and that sort of thing. Not that obviously you should be paid whatever it is you were promised, but what can you tell us in terms of, you said you yourself were responsible for selling a lot of tickets. How do you feel like the show was doing as a whole? Was it well attended? I asked the question because, were you at least able to see, okay, you look around and go, there may not be enough money to pay everybody here, or did it look like, there were at least a handful of folks there?
From what I've told from my fan base, pretty much a majority of us, I don't know, asked Frank, he was commentating, but the majority of the fan base was there to support the local fighters, myself included.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, it didn't look like it was a sellout at all. So there was a majority of a crowd there for the local fighters, but it wasn't, what I've fought on bigger shows.
I see. Well, sure.
But I mean, going back to, I think, just the part of being transparent.
Yeah.
I think that Anthony and a lot of the other fighters were probably getting screwed over, not getting paid is frustrating. But I think the part that has frustrated that group of guys the most, and women, there's a few girls that didn't get paid either, is that they were being told, okay, Monday. No, it takes a couple days. No, the transfers went through. No, and being told 2 or 3 days, next week, no, there's problems, there's this, there's that. Instead of, if someone would have came out right off the bat going, you know what, I took a gamble, I thought I was going to sell out, I screwed the pooch, I didn't know what I was doing, it crashed, no one's getting paid. Being told that to begin with, I think that these guys would have cut their losses. It's kind of what it's like. It's kind of like dumping somebody right off the bat. Like, look, break up with me. Don't string this out over a couple months of like not answering my phone calls, meeting me for dinner, but then kind of just giving me the cold shoulder. It's like, are we together? Are we not together? You know what I mean? Like, make it a clean break. It still hurts. Yeah. I'm not saying that it makes it that much nicer that they got stiffed on their money, but I think that there wouldn't have been that drawn out, bullshitting that was occurring. If I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I think that that's what basically you did on your own. Instead of constantly hearing the excuses, you basically just pulled the Band-Aid off, said, screw it, I'm done with this, I don't want to hear any more excuses. Am I right?
Yeah, well, like I was saying, Frank, you were there. I heard about on the podcast, the Phone Booth Fighting podcast, what happened to you at the airport.
Thank you. I just want to take a quick second to thank Anthony for listening to Phone Booth Fighting. There you go, listening to a former. We're very big in Australia, by the way. So thank you for that. Thanks for the plug on our show. Go ahead.
It's an awesome podcast, and you guys, we love you guys out here. So
appreciate that.
I appreciate being on the show, so I've had to let go because like I said, I'm going to America next week in like 5 days to try out for the Tough show, and even though that set me back massively. I mean, I've had to move back to my hometown now in order for me to get funds together so I can go over there and chase this dream of mine. It's set me back a lot, and I'm sure it's set a lot of other fighters back. And it's just what can you do? You just got to just move on, and the show goes on.
Awareness. But, I think that's
once bitten, twice shy. So
there you go. I think that's the only thing that we can do, and hopefully on this platform, any other fighters on any shows, they get screwed out of money. If we can give them a platform to talk about it, and that way other guys, we can all kind of get together and find out who's not paying people, because that way you can sit there and go, okay, well, I don't want to ever work with that guy again because he never paid the group of people. So, it's never going to get, Anthony his money, but maybe we can save the next guy from being screwed over and not being paid. Yeah. And eventually, there's only so many times you can try to do this. It's going to, you're going to run out of places to pop up. And
Frank, you were throughout this process, you were reaching out to James as well.
Yeah, I've reached out to him because of
find out what was going on.
Again, my name's on the poster.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm associated with it.
Yeah.
And then when I heard, and I'm a fighter, and that's why I guess I kept giving James the benefit of the doubt. James was a retired professional fighter. I could never imagine a retired professional fighter knowingly screwing over the, you know what I mean? Like, that's something I would think a businessman would do, where it's like, he doesn't know that the hard work, the sweat, the blood, the pain that went involved into preparing for this battle. He doesn't appreciate the hard work. It's like, you know what Anthony went through to get ready for this. You know what everybody on that card went through, and never to compensate them. Never to give them even a legitimate, respectable understanding.
And the reason I ask, because if I know that knowing you, if you were reaching out to him, if he had contacted you and said, "Hey, here's what's going on," and here's the troubles I'm having, just like you've got Anthony on and given him the platform of phone booth fighting, you probably would have let James come on too and kind of talk about it and say publicly,
I would have,
here's what's happened.
If things were coherent through our conversations. Things were never coherent, especially because I would hear things from other people, and there's things that James would tell me, and then later on I'd have to remind him, be like, look, we're on a text. Like, you told me X, and now it's no longer X, now it's Y. It's like, wait a minute. It was never supposed to be that in the first place. You told me that funds were going to be released, and now it's like, well, no, now it's this. It was too much changing stories back and forth, which is what everybody was receiving.
Foiled by your own screenshots. Happens to the best of us. Okay, well, Anthony, I'm sorry that you had to come on this note, because this has got to be a frustrating thing. But on the upside, we get to meet you. We find out you're already a listener to the podcast, and we find out you're coming here to Las Vegas. So we mean it about this invitation. Come on in, join us in studio. We'll talk some fights. We'll talk about where your career's headed and all that kind of stuff.
Moving forward.
That's right. Get positive. How about that?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I'll definitely be over there and catch up with you guys when I get there. So thank you, and thanks, Frank, for doing this, and not only for me, but on behalf of all the fighters out there that haven't been paid. We thank you guys a lot. You know, it means a lot to us to make sure that we try and put an end to this and to the promoters doing the fighters wrong, and hopefully we get more fighters and things get better as time goes on.
Before you sign off there, where can everybody find you on social media, Anthony, on Twitter and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, The Angry Panda, on Instagram, _angry.panda. I'm on Facebook as well. Hopefully I'll be over there soon, and I'll be on The Ultimate Fighter. So I'll see you guys soon.
All right.
See you soon, man.
All right. See you, Anthony. Great meeting you.
Take care.
There goes Anthony Johns, the Angry Panda. All right. Well, from not being able to get a straight story on what happened to his money to a guy that you can always get the straight story out of, I'm talking about your striking coach, Frank. I'm talking about our buddy Angelo Reyes. He is just off camera here, about to step into the phone booth fighting bunker. So let's bring him on. What we're going to do is I'll just I can actually clean this up in the edit. So we can go silent for a second. It's not a problem. He's going to use that mic.
Babe, we have a pause in the show. What's up, love? This is awesome.
How about this? You hadn't been in yet, right?
Been here.
I got the chair for you.
Just trying to train hard again. This is awesome.
Yeah, working out, right?
Awesome.
Thank
And
you.
this really helps with the sound too.
Yeah. It's actually the room's pretty dead to begin with, which is the way you want it.
Okay.
But yeah, that does help. You're actually going to be a little bit of a test case for us.
For bringing in guests.
Yeah.
That's you're smart. That's what I do. Before getting in the main guest,
Yeah.
I get my friends in first.
It's like the soft opening at the restaurant, you know? Yeah.
Well, you'll be happy to know. It's one of the reasons why I had not invited you or Frank yet.
I know, man.
Because you guys are our A-list guests.
All right.
We've already tested with all the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
Now we've been getting in, Sean Porter, Stitch Duran, like all of the main names.
I'm looking forward to that invite, man.
Yeah,
that setup looks great.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Richard, how do I close this out?
Oh, just go go Command Escape. That I'm sorry, Command H. Wait a minute. Click.
Nothing's happening.
Okay, hold on. Sorry. That's okay.
None of the normal things are working.
Let's see here. Hang on a second. That's what.
And that battery had charged, but that light's not turned on.
Okay.
You even have your own staff now and everything, huh?
Travis, man. Travis has been
That's awesome.
a big help. Sure has.
Except for when the computer's not working.
Yeah.
Well, you can only do so much, Travis, you know. But this is awesome, Richard. I'm really glad you guys took this
Thanks,
room
man.
and turned it
Yeah.
into the, what do you call it? The phone booth fighting bunker?
The bunker, yeah.
Okay, the bunker. Okay.
Yeah, we're, you know what? It's not pilot error here, Travis. I think the computer just kind of froze up.
All right.
So let me just kind of reboot here. There we go.
And then this is episode 119? Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this one, did you guys already talk about the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing?
No, not yet.
Okay, because so that one is a big one for me.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's
yeah,
right. Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
No, I knew exactly what he was going
Yeah,
through.
yeah.
I right away that day,
Yeah.
like my brother called my sister. They were like, "Hey man, did you see what's going on?" Then I watched it. I was gonna actually send him a note just to let him know.
Yeah.
Look, bro. Like the scary thing with him, I think too, was that he didn't know.
Yeah.
So the baby comes out and you just don't know. And then they start to tell you, and then he has to deal with all that crap.
Yeah.
Like,
that makes sense.
I mean.
Now, was that anywhere similar to what Joe's?
Similar in the sense of very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But so with us, he did all the same. Because if you watch Jimmy Kimmel pretty regularly,
Yeah.
they even did like a whole joke when she was doing a sonogram and Matt Damon was there. And this was months.
20 minutes till
Yeah.
what's his name till, right?
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk. We'll start boxing, and then you just stay there,
Okay.
and then we got to bring.
Okay.
No, what's on?
Oh no, my sister dropped me off.
Oh,
She's
did-
saying, yeah.
What's that? Is everything okay?
Oh yeah, no. Me and I are good. We're good. It's all good, baby.
I just haven't talked to you in a while.
I know. Well, you were gone. Well, we talked, and then you were gone. Then you were gone. But now you're back.
Yeah, I'm back till next Wednesday.
Okay.
But every day I'm back
That's
I'm
not
just gonna
bad.
train. No more fucking just
his
feeling
head
sorry for
in the way-
myself.
yeah.
My
Okay.
bad. So like each
So-
night this week I've been at Roberts in the morning. I go to the gym.
Okay. All right.
So here's what we want to do because the camera's over your head. If you will slide toward Frank,
Slide towards.
just gotta get the back of your head away from the camera. Let me fix the lights.
This is awesome, dude. I
You're
like
right.
that you took the bunker.
Yeah.
It feels so official.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, ESPN will buy you guys the phone booth fighting bunker.
Yeah, you'll just have to be careful. You might wonder, because when I blow it up to show the video also. No, that'll be all right, right? Because I mean, when I blow it up, it's the size.
Oh,
of
that's
the
fine. Just a little corn. Yeah. Yeah. We just don't want.
You want me to
Don't
do a mic
assemble.
test, Travis?
You gotta unmute his mic.
Wait a minute. Test 1, 2,
Yeah, there it is.
3,
Okay.
4,
Lower
5,
it a little for
6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Is that too
You
loud
lower-
for you?
My headphones on? That's really loud.
It's loud, right?
How do your headphones?
It's loud on my headphones too. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's much better.
It may just be his level. He's got a pretty big voice, so you may want to back it down a little bit and then bring it up if he sounds low.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
6, 7,
His
8, 9.
his voice is more like mine.
Yeah, I'm like Richard Hunter.
It's not as soft and unassuming as Frank's is. That's really, that is the broadcast irony. It's funny because it's like the physical opposite, but your voice is very much you're the calm, the low key,
He is very calm and very.
We're
low-key.
this guy. Oh, Sunday.
That's how I get him.
Yeah.
He's very calm, low
Off
key.
to get close.
Yeah.
So I don't have to chase
do
you.
you, Travis, do you hear his, just listen for, like, if his voice kind of overmodulates, like if I do this, see how I'm kind of, you hear that overmodulation?
Hello,
If he's
hello.
doing that, you'll just have to ride the fader a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
So Travis, like normally, this is how I talk. Travis, how you doing, man?
Yeah, so I
good to
back
see
him-
you.
back him down.
How you been, brother? Man, you look amazing. I love the red shirt on you and the camouflage pants. Boy, that looks awesome.
We're going to go deaf if we don't fix this.
That's why I'm talking in my regular level now, so you know. And behind you is the beautiful Jen Muir, right there. So this is
All right.
so my earpiece is gone now.
No, ice water's good. I got water.
Test. 1, 2, 1, 2,
Give him
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
it down just
6, 7, 8, 9. Still not working. 1,
Hey,
2, 3.
he'll outlive us. So you can
4,
just, that,
5,
that's
You
six,
may
seven.
check your
sacrifices he has to
connection.
make.
and wiggle it just a little bit. You may have,
Wiggle my connection.
yeah.
Oh my
Check
God.
1 2 1 2
Check,
1 2.
check.
Do you have me?
There, I
There,
got you.
yeah.
I got
It just
mine.
shorted out for a second. Okay. I think
Okay.
we're
So it's
think
super
we're
loud.
ready.
Can you turn mine down?
Also, Frank, this
Perfect.
camera right here is picking up Angelo. So that bottle, just don't move the bottle. Yeah. Okay. All righty.
So am I the first official bunker guest?
We had a guy the other day. So,
My feelings are hurt.
yeah, I can't see your exactly. But
My feelings are
you,
hurt.
you are with this current configuration, though.
Okay.
Can you pass those in here? Travis, you can have one if you like.
Is there something in this?
Well, no, the vegan can't eat them.
We were just talking about diet today.
But I mean, is there something else in it?
When in Rome, I guess.
That whether or not you're vegan.
No, it's just vegans can't eat it. I think there's dairy in there.
Okay.
All right. Are we ready? All good?
Oh, you mean like marijuana? No, man, my kids are eating it. Come on.
That's what I was asking.
His kids are eating
Come
it,
on.
and they're in a very introspective mood right now. Okay, we're rolling video, audio. We're good to go. Okay, yeah? Okay, here we go. Coming back in 3, 2, 1. Frank joining us inside the phone booth fighting bunker for the first time. Not his first time on the podcast, but definitely his first time inside the bunker. It's striking coach to the stars, Angelo Reyes. Hey, Angelo.
Guys, how are you? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a little bit. You've been
Yeah, between you
Mr.
traveling, me traveling.
I know, right? I know. Thank
Yeah.
you for the brownies from the beautiful Miss Jen Muir. Thank you.
Yeah, Mrs. Muir baked brownies for Frank and his friends, and they brought him inside the bunker here. So
See,
everybody's getting a little treat.
I already love
The
your
brownies
show.
are meant for Teacher Appreciation Week.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Because if they were meant for my friends, she would have had a vegan option.
No, well, that's okay. That's all right. That's for Podcast Host Appreciation Week. That comes up later on in the year. Speaking of podcasts, Frank, since we have had Angelo on last, it's been a little while. Angelo has picked up the ball, the podcasting ball, and run with it. He's got his own
saw
podcast
that.
now. I'm a subscriber to it. Angelo, tell everybody about your podcast.
Yeah, no, it's a fun show that I do with my partner Jeremy Long. We do the Cage Siders. You
Your
guys
life
can go,
partner.
Yes, yes. No, he's
You are
very-
from
he's
the San
happily
Francisco-
married.
Answered so many
He's-
questions now.
You are from the
The Bay
Bay
guy.
Area, San Francisco.
He's
Yeah.
happily married to Amy Long, but thank
Okay.
you, Richard.
Yep.
Yes, I'm.
It's a good
I would-
front. It's a good front.
Yeah. No, we have our podcast and we have our TV show that airs locally on the Action Channel.
Yeah.
Every Friday, 7 a.m., 6 p.m. This last show, we just had Stitch Duran
Yeah.
talk to us about Klitschko because he was the cut man for
Yeah.
Klitschko. And what
Yeah,
the
that's
90,000
right. Yeah.
was like. So it's fun, man. It's fun.
Yeah,
It's
you
fun.
guys have a very cool little setup there for the TV show. Anyway, we're we like it, and I listen, and we're looking forward to being guests on your podcast.
Yeah, no, yeah. CageSiders.com, guys.
So everybody check out the Cage Siders. Now, we've got Angelo on here. He's going to do a couple things with us. He's actually figures into a couple of different stories we've got going on the show tonight. But the first of which is his chosen profession, that of striking and specifically boxing, because there was a big boxing match this weekend over in England. 90,000 Brits saw this fight. I watched it on Showtime during the middle of the day on Saturday. Vladimir Klitschko and Anthony Joshua. Now, this fight boy, did this live up to the hype. This was a fantastic fight. We're going to take a look at a couple of highlights first, but just before we do, let's explain to everybody, Angelo, Tyson Fury, who was the heavyweight champion, had been stripped of the title, right? Because now he had beaten Klitschko, but he got stripped of the title because there were drug issues and stuff like that.
Well, he got stripped of the title because he couldn't,
inactivity, right?
Inactivity, yeah. He didn't get stripped of the title because, I mean, if you want to be coked out of your mind but still be able to fight on schedule, that's on you.
I guess if you party too hard and did drugs, there'd be a lot of strict boxers.
Well, and I do know one thing that happens in boxing. It's almost a custom now where you win a title and then one governing body or the other honors you by stripping you of the title. That usually happens within like the first few days. So, so he inactivity, he stripped of the title. So now you get the guy that he beat, Vladimir Klitschko, of course, a legend, future Hall of Famer, taking on the young, up and coming British boxer, undefeated. I think he was 18-0 coming into the fight, all knockouts.
That's right.
Had never been past the 7th round, I believe.
That's correct.
He is fighting Vladimir Klitschko. So let's do this. Let's look at the highlights first. We'll talk about what happened here. Travis is going to roll us just a little clip here. What happened?
It was like a Foo Fighters concert. 90,000 people crammed into London's Wembley Stadium to watch one of the best heavyweight fights in who knows how long. Anthony Joshua taking on the great Vladimir Klitschko, early 5th round. The Olympic gold medalist Joshua sends Klitschko to the canvas for the first time, but the wily veteran, future Hall of Famer, would get back up. And then midway through the 11th round, it's Joshua again on the attack. Just landing haymakers and sending the big Klitschko down one more time. And then later in the round, this would be the end. Joshua himself went down for the first time as a professional. He goes deeper in a fight than he's ever been in his career, but he wins by 11th round TKO to move to 19-0.
Vladimir Klitschko, meanwhile, it is one fight short of 70 professional fights. That makes me feel old because I've been watching this guy since he started. And the story of the fight, obviously, is going to be Anthony Johnson's 11th round TKO. However, Vladimir Klitschko did drop Anthony Joshua.
I wish they would have talked about that more because that's a really impressive part of Anthony.
And that's why I love you, Frank, because you're gonna break it down the way, because the way they even showed this highlights doesn't do that fight justice.
No,
it was very close, and it was literally every round.
Klitschko was up on rounds.
Yes. He was actually on. If had it gone to decision up to that point before the 11th, one of the judges had Klitschko ahead by 2.
Right.
So it was going in that split decision type of a way.
Yeah.
I had Klitschko up on my card because a few of those rounds, and again, Richard, so what makes boxing and this in particular, like I've even asked some of our friends in our media circle for MMA, could you ever see the UFC or any organization do 2 fighters or any number of fighters and have them be able to get 90,000 people sell out in less than 12 hours?
Yeah.
They said, no, I can't see any scenario that's possible where that many people would be that excited that 12 hours later, 90,000 seats are already sold out. You haven't even built the undercard yet.
Yeah.
And when this fight was announced, Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko, 90,000 seats in less than 12 hours. All sold out, Wembley Stadium.
The real win is the state of boxing.
Yeah.
After this fight.
It just shows you, Richard.
Yeah.
This is why his guarantee and his guarantee was $20 million each. When boxing, and all the people in the undercards of this fight all got paid too.
Yeah.
When boxing is done exactly like this, you're not afraid to let this guy lose. You're not afraid to let that guy lose. Let's just put a great fight together. This is what you guys see. This is why boxing is not it's going to die, or boxing's not going to die. It's cultural. In England, it's cultural. In South America, it's cultural.
Yeah, Mexico
in
still.
Mexico, it's cultural.
UFC's never going to outsell boxing in
then
Mexico.
that's what. I mean, why are we even talking about Mayweather McGregor? Not really because of McGregor. It's because because
No, I agree 100%. 100%.
Are we really interested in seeing McGregor fight any of the other boxers that he could actually fight?
And Mayweather could fight anybody other, and we would still be having this conversation.
Exactly. If Mayweather,
Mayweather's the A fighter, 100%.
Exactly. And I'm not saying that because McGregor didn't work his ass off. I'm just saying if McGregor,
it is what it is.
Yeah, if McGregor put the same type of effort and the same type of work ethic and everything that he did, and he was a boxer, and he was able to do in 3.5 years what this man, Anthony Joshua, did, he would be getting $20 million.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is that this is the reemergence of the heavyweight division, and this is something that's been in recession for a number of years now.
Well, and Vladimir Klitschko, up until his fight with Tyson Fury, what was it, 9.5 years?
Yeah, he was dominant.
It's just that, he's a soft-spoken guy, well-educated. He just wasn't exciting to a lot of the American fans. He didn't grab everybody's imagination like people in the past had done, like a Mike Tyson type.
Yeah,
kind of like on the same lines as Lennox Lewis. So I think he was a very good boxer. But as far as did it sell?
The sex, exactly.
No, I think people were more excited to see David Tua.
Yes,
it was more of a draw than, even though that he obviously when they fought each other he was nowhere near the level of boxer. Yeah, it was a sparring match when they fought each other. But there was still that excitement, Tua's left hook. Lewis was like, well, he's going to jab you to death, and then he has a really good right hand. And then Emmanuel Stewart just brought that over to the Klitschko's, and same thing. Phenomenal left hand. You're never going to get past it. And then he has a hammer of a right hand. When you finally get tired in the 7th and 8th, he's going to drop it on you.
The 1-2. That was the key, going into the fight.
And Anthony Joshua survived it. That's the part that impressed me. A guy who's 19-0 or going into the fight 18-0, I didn't think he would win the fight because I'm like, well, who's he fought that's tested him?
That's what I said, Frank. I said the same. I picked Klitschko to win.
I picked Klitschko to win. I'm like, okay, Klitschko's had wars. He's lost fights. He's been in bad fights. He's been in wars. Anthony Johnson has knocked out everybody. He's success. I don't know if he's going to rise to the occasion when he runs into that hammer.
Yeah.
We don't know. It's an unknown factor. I've seen Klitschko get, when the Nigerian Samuel Peters. Here's a fight that Klitschko's easily winning. Go and toss her out there.
Yeah, there you go, Charles. Go ahead.
Hand it to Ronan.
Yeah, Klitschko's winning the fight.
He gets caught with a left hook, the 11th?
Yeah.
And he's doing this number.
Yeah.
He has to recover, hug, hold on, survive, and then the 12th round he comes out. Then I think he rocks
he rocks
Samuel Peters.
Yeah.
So I've seen Klitschko in adversity. So I know it's all right if this guy gets in trouble like he did in the 5th round. Klitschko got in trouble, got up, knocked Anthony Joshua down. That doesn't surprise me. But I didn't know what Anthony Joshua do. I'm like, well, this is a guy who's just a gold medalist. Not that he hasn't had some hard fights at an amateur level, but on a professional level, he's murdered everybody. I'm like, well, what's he going to do when he faces that? What happens the first time he has to get off the canvas and go, damn, I'm losing?
And that's what you just got to see. And now, if I ask you, Frank, would you pay for an Anthony Joshua
Oh, yeah,
fight?
absolutely.
See?
I'm a fan now.
There we go.
That one fight made me a fan. I'm like, okay. Because, that's a factor. Look, he's obviously genetically gifted. He's a hard worker. He has a lot of things going for him. But as a fighter, I personally, and I think, look, all our cinema, our movies, our novels are written off of a hero overcoming adversity.
Yes.
And I got to see the talented stud get up off the canvas. It wasn't easy. He could have lost that fight and said, well,
absolutely.
It was my 19th fight. I'm fighting, a future Hall of Famer. Going to go down as probably one of the better heavyweights of all time.
Yeah.
I'm 27 years old. He's 41. On the rematch, I'll smash him. And then the rubber match, I'll put him into retirement. There was already a story written out that it would not have been, he would not have lost a lot of face, especially because he already knocked down Klitschko. Knocked him down in the 5th. And then it's like, okay, well, he got dropped. And then if he'd have lost, but he still pushed on. I was extraordinarily impressed with his ability to overcome adversity. That's the factor that we never saw. It's like,
right.
Okay, well, I seen him get hit hard, and he has a good chin. Obviously his offensive output is powerful, but what could he do if he hit the canvas? What would happen if he had to get up and know in his head when he's sitting on the stool going, shit, I'm down on the scorecards, and the guy is really fucking good.
Yeah, and that's what he said. He said he had to show everybody. Sometimes it's not technique or style. You just got to dig from the trenches. He was out. That round 6, when you were watching it, you texted me, Richard, he was out. Like all of us, when we saw the 1-2 and we saw Klitschko hit him, we were like, oh, he's not getting up. No way. There's no way, Frank. 240, solid 2, right in the
6'6"
chin.
guy, yeah.
You know, we were like, nah, you're not getting up. He got up, and then as we were watching it, we're like, okay, if he actually just defensively does well for the next 6 minutes, his second win will kick in, and now we're going to find out where Klitschko's at, and that's exactly what happened. He just, you know, I asked Stitch Duran, I said, when you were in the corner, were you guys talking to Klitschko about maybe pressing the action a little bit more? Round 7, round 8, he said that's what we wanted to do, but, you know, again, you can never tell the fighter how they want to fight that night. And I think in Klitschko's own head, he was thinking, man, I got caught in that 5th. This kid can hit hard.
Power, yeah.
This kid can hit hard. So let me just keep winning, and let me just keep, you know, kind of chopping down the tree, sort of. So his game.
I really don't fault him for that.
Yeah, it was a good game plan.
Even in hindsight, looking back, going, would you do that again? I'm all,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was a good game plan.
Yeah,
It was
I
a
mean-
smart, good game plan, because if you're the older fighter, and you would know this, Frank, if you're the older fighter, you don't want to bust your load.
No.
And Klitschko's plan was, I'm going to take you deep. And then when I take you deep, I'm going to drown
He's
you.
fighting a guy that's never been past the 7th round.
Exactly. And
Even
if
the
you-
psychology of sitting on the stool going, shit, I'm in the 10th round. Shit, I'm going into the 11th round. That you think is already a daunting task. It's like, let's keep just adding the pressure, mental pressure, mental pressure, mental pressure. Give him more things to worry about besides just me, and let me go ahead and keep punching him in the face.
And I'll tell you what I really liked about Joshua, too, is at that point, Joshua, when he got knocked down, you see him get up, rewatch the fight, guys. Rewatch it on YouTube. He's smiling in the round that he got knocked down in, and you could tell he's enjoying the moment of the battle. That's a scary person to fight.
Yeah.
Because he's not like in there worried about what the crowd's thinking. He's not doing any of that. He's in the moment. He's present. Every round he was in the moment. There was a round where when he was starting to hurt Klitschko, he was talking to Klitschko. He was saying, "Oh, you know, I'm going to hurt you really bad." And he said, I wasn't saying it vindictively or mean. I was just in the moment. I was in the moment of the fight. So Joshua is, and Joshua's not the only one. I mean, Frank, you know, Deontay Wilder, everybody's talking about him.
Yeah.
United States. He's coached by the Olympic gold medalist, Mr. Breland. And, you know, Deontay Wilder could give him a good match. I still think Bermain Stavern could give him a good match. Joseph Parker could give him a good match. The heavyweight division will now really wake up. Everybody will now get to hear about Andy Ruiz, Joseph Parker, Pulev. Like every single heavyweight you're now going to hear, because Anthony Joshua is now exciting everyone. And this is what I was kind of hoping.
Reshift at the top.
Yes, yeah. And really, like, if you think about it, if Conor was smart, that's what he would do too. He would build up the division rather than keep not defending his own title in his own division. So Joshua has nowhere to go, obviously. There's no other belts to defend, but
Well,
the next 2-3 years, guys, you're gonna see $20 million purses.
And people,
for this guy.
The wild card, the X factor here is Tyson Fury, because everybody doesn't know when he'll be back and, you know, what kind of condition he's in and all that. But Vladimir Klitschko and Anthony Joshua signed a 2-fight deal.
Yes.
So what we might get before anything else is a rematch of this. And if you're a promoter looking at this, you've got to be asking why not.
Yeah, no, they would do 90,000 again. It was such an epic battle that it would answer a lot of questions. And can you imagine if Klitschko wins the rematch? A third fight. Oh my God. Because, you know, really when we think about boxing, right? Mauro Ronaldo during the telecast, he said it. We've had Rumble in the Jungle. We've had Thrilla in Manila. And now we have War at Wembley. When you can get your own title in a fight that was at epic, that's it, man. That history. Anthony Joshua is now locked in history. What he chooses to do between now and the next, 10 years of his boxing career is going to be up to him. Hopefully he doesn't coke himself out like Tyson Fury.
No.
But, you know, hopefully, I don't know. I mean, $20 million, man. That was his minimum guarantee. I don't know what he'll come out of it at the end, but I'd probably guess $30 million.
Well, let's do this. Hold your seat there, Angelo. We are going to FaceTime in Stix Zadinia from Steel Panther. I'm going to have Travis dial him up. And so we've got other things to talk to you about, Angelo. It's interesting. You have appeared on a night where you provide multiple layers of content for the show. So more on that here in just a bit. But our good friend Stix, the drummer in Steel Panther, Travis is contacting him now, is going to be joining us. Steel Panther's coming to Las Vegas for a couple of shows tomorrow night, and then a week from Thursday as well. All right, let's bring him up full screen there, if you will, Travis. And tell me when you're ready. And Stix, turn your phone sideways, if you will, buddy, landscape style. There we go. There's that handsome face. And all right, do we have him? Tell me when he's on screen here, Travis, and I'll do a proper introduction. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the man who bangs the skins as a member of Steel Panther. It's Stix Zadinia. Stix, welcome back to the show. How are you, man?
Hi, dudes. How are you guys?
Good to see you. I think you're probably just looking at Travis, our producer, because of the way the studio's set up. But we have you blown up full screen on our studio inside the phone booth fighting bunker here. We've gone multimedia since you were last on the show. We have built out. This will show you how uncultured Frank is. He had a wine cellar in his house that he didn't use. He just had like a couple of cases of beer sitting in here on the floor. And I said, you know what we ought to do? We ought to turn this into a studio for our podcast, and Mrs. Muir signed off on it. So here we are. So now everybody's seeing you on the big screen as well as hearing your voice. So it's good to talk to you again. How you been? How's the road treating Steel Panther?
Well, I just keep seeing Travis's face, and it's so handsome. It's distracting me from my own thoughts.
yeah. He's not a bad guy to have in front of the screen. You know where we picked him up? Now let me tell you about the 6 degrees of separation with Steel Panther and phone booth fighting Stix. Of course, we've had you on the show. We had Lexi Fox on, your bass player, not very long ago. He was fantastic. But here's the deal with Travis. I know UFC fighter Donald Cowboy Cerrone was sitting in with you guys a couple of weeks back. All right, Cowboy got us Travis as a producer. He actually recommended him and said, this is a buddy of mine. This is a guy you want working on the show. So Cowboy vouched for Travis, and that's actually how we got him. And we actually played the clip of Cowboy sitting in with you guys singing, what was he singing? Journey's Don't Stop Believin' with you a couple weeks ago? Yeah.
So, wait, Travis, are you from Denver?
Travis, no. The reason they know each other is because, you can turn on your mic if you want to there, Travis. The reason they know each other is because Cowboy's into this deep sea diving, and that's not a sexual euphemism, Stix. That's it's actual diving. And
I did that last week on the road.
Travis is you're like a certified diving instructor guy, right, Travis? Is that the official title?
Dive master.
Yeah, Travis. He's not certified on turn on his mic just yet, but he does know how to dive. What's the story, Travis? What do you do?
I'm not an instructor. I don't want to teach, but I work with a lot of people like Cowboy that want to learn how to do some gnarly diving. So that's how we hooked up.
Yeah,
that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, so if Steel Panther ever wants to do some underwater exploration, just let us know, and we'll send Travis and Cowboy over to the tour bus.
That's awesome. I'd love to go snorkel.
Yeah.
No snorkeling like allowed.
Oh, no snorkeling? We'll start with snorkeling. How about that? All right, so Steel Panther is, by the way, before we start plugging these dates and the new record that's out and all this kind of stuff, I just do want to make a quick mention of this before we get off the Cowboy Cerrone thing. We played the video here in the studio as part of the show, Cowboy sitting in with you and everything. But I tell you, Stix, these UFC fighters are very competitive.
Not that competitive.
I was watching Frank Mir over here just shifting in his seat like, what is this? What is this guy stealing the spotlight? And I cajoled him a little bit, and I offered to, provide him a little coaching. And I don't know, down the line, Stix, if you guys have an opening in the set, I might be able to coax this big old heavyweight over here on stage with you.
There is always a microphone for Frank. Whenever I'm serious, dude. If you want to serenade your lady and you really want to score some sweet, sweet points, you come sing with us, and she'll be like, man, that's the most romantic thing Frank could have ever done.
What about this, Frank? Come on,
Come on,
Mrs.
Frank.
Meir. You know, when you've been married as long as you have, sometimes
Maybe
you
what
gotta
else could
rekindle
you
the
do? You want to help
romance.
me out a little bit first, because
All right.
I don't want to completely scare out the whole crowd. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, you know what? Stix and I will get together on maybe. I think proper song selection might be key here, Stix. We don't want to do like some kind of 5-octave register kind of thing. We may want to just try to keep it as
your boat? No.
well. We may just try to keep it as basic as we can. But all right, we'll huddle up on that later. But I like that idea. I think at some point in the future we should, Frank, for the good of the show, if nothing else, we need to have you on stage with the Steel
me out
Panther
there,
boys. All right. Now, Steel Panther is coming to Las Vegas tomorrow night, and then also a week from tomorrow night, May 4th and May 11th, at the House of Blues inside Mandalay Bay Casino here in Las Vegas. It's always a great place to see them. That's where you and I saw them the last time we went to a show. And tickets and all the info is available at SteelPantherRocks.com. It's one nice thing about living in Vegas is Steel Panther gets around here pretty regularly. So I'm looking forward to seeing you guys back in town. But you got a new record to promote, Stix. The song is called, or the album is called "Lower the Bar." And the first time I listened to this, I'll tell you though, I was a little irritated because I saw that iTunes, the description they had in the graphic was, quote, "The hair metal jokesters go another round." And I don't like that dismissive tone. Do you take that same exception to that I do?
It's funny we get asked that because we chart in the rock charts, we chart in the heavy metal charts, and we chart in comedy.
Yeah.
And I have gotten asked that question before. Like, people are like, does it bum you out if people call you a comedy band? And I don't know what kind of language I can use on your show.
Whatever you want.
It's open.
I don't give a fuck what you call us.
Yeah.
For real, I don't care if you call us country fusion, Latin jazz, rock metal. It doesn't matter to me. As long as you're listening, as long as we're affecting you in one way or another, like you're like, this is the stupidest shit I ever heard and we're making you mad, or you're like, this is brilliant and these guys kick my balls in every time I listen to them. I don't really give a fuck. Like, if people are, honestly, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm happy with people just talking about it.
Well, the new album is called Lower the Bar, and speaking of highbrow concepts, the album cover features a little person who is attempting to peer over the bar's countertop, and
yes.
I thought to myself, Stix, is it just me, or is this a clear social commentary on the part of the band on the need to expand access for people with physical challenges?
Well, there's literal and figurative meanings to lower the bar. I mean, literally, if you're a little person, you want the bar lowered because they can't see the drinks, dude. And, that's a problem because if you're up there and you have your hand up there fishing around and you grab someone else's drink and you're just like, just please lower the bar so I can see what the hell I'm trying to do here. Nobody looks cool reaching it and doing this with their hands. Like, if you just see a hand, like, flopping around like a fish, Travis knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Check it out. So this is what you see. You're like, please lower it because I can't. It's just not working.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, we're like, you know what? This is our 4th studio album. So don't expect much musically, and you will be stoked every time.
I see. So you're basically like under promise, over deliver.
Dude, if you think about that in life, then you're gonna win every single day. If you're like, man, I'm gonna aim for the chick who's like the rough 4 or the rough 3. You're going to be stoked with a 5.
Sure you are. Life lessons from Steel Panther. All right, let's talk about some of the tracks on this record. Now, the opening track, speaking of kicking you in the balls right off the bat, the song "Going in the Back Door." Now, obviously, I saw that as a euphemism for the road less traveled, as poet Robert Frost would have us believe.
Yeah. People ask me sometimes, they're like, what's that song about? And, and I will just tell them butt fucking.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood.
Yeah.
The song "Anything Goes" it contains like a Charlie Sheen AIDS reference, and given the timeline, it would seem that that could require a last-minute lyrical rewrite in the studio. Does the band stay open to any last-minute revisions in order to stay topically relevant?
Ooh, good question.
Absolutely, we do. I mean, shit changes so fast now, and we get information by the minute, right? So, and as a matter of fact, one of the songs we have on our first record called "Death to All But Metal,"
yes,
we name drop a bunch of bands and a bunch of people, right?
Yeah.
And at the last minute, we changed a bunch of them because it was what was happening at the time, and that's the pretty cool thing about recording nowadays. Like, everyone gets their information right now, so we can be pretty topical.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely.
But obviously, once it's down, it's down.
You're absolutely right about that. I mean, thinking just through "Death to All But Metal," that was the song that gave us the classic lyric, "Fuck the Goo Goo Dolls, they can suck my balls," as I recall.
That's some solid rhyme scheme right there.
Yeah.
If you think about it. I mean, we like to really stretch out.
Yeah.
We like to really, really take our minds to places that not many people are able to take their own minds.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're gonna rhyme, I mean, it's gonna be dolls and balls.
Sure.
Because that's cool.
I mean, don't have the word dolls in your band's name if you don't want to get your balls talked about.
Right.
That's clearly going to happen. This has been a real drummer's week here on Phone Booth Fighting Sticks because a couple of nights ago we had Ricky Rocket on the show from Poison.
You had the Rocket Man on the show?
We sure did. We talked not only hard rock, but did you know that Ricky Rocket is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt?
I did not know that, but I got to tell you, I've met Ricky a few times, and he's a fucking wonderful guy.
Yeah.
Really, really super cool. He's a good drummer, and he makes drums, apparently.
Yep. Custom drums, custom bikes. I mean, he's a real Renaissance man. I mean, it was kind of amazing the different. He stayed on with us for about the better part of an hour, and it was kind of amazing all the layers to his personality. So,
do you think that if Ricky Rocket makes a drum and it's just not working out, does he karate chop it?
He might choke it.
He might choke it. Yeah.
He might.
Yeah.
The drum may go to sleep.
Yeah. You know what I wonder, Stix? The first question I had when I heard he was making custom drums is when you order a set of those drums, does it come with the stands for the toms like most kits would, or is it like the Talk Dirty to Me video where it just comes with a chick that holds the tom? Do you remember when he had that? There were like 5 girls around him. Each one was holding a piece of his kit.
I do, but that's trafficking. You can't sell people, Richard. It's just illegal.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, I think Ricky Rocket probably got an earful if he tried to suggest that to his lawyers. They're like, no, we can't sell people, Ricky.
But are you selling the person, or are you just selling the drum?
I don't know.
Well, I think if you're gonna sell a woman as a stand, I think that's illegal.
Well, you're not really selling. It's kind of like how our escort services here in Vegas work. The girl comes to your room; she's just there for company. We're not selling sex. If that happens and you work it out,
The girl comes to your room here in Las Vegas. If she finds out all she's got to do is hold a snare drum for an hour, she's considering herself lucky.
Lowering the bar again. See, I'm telling you.
Okay, so Steel Panther is also very accomplished in the world of music video. They have not let this medium die. In fact, if anything, some could say they brought it back with a vengeance. The way it was known in the '80s. And you guys have a hot new video off of this new record, Lower the Bar. It's called Poontang Boomerang.
Yes. And you know what? So we shot that on location in Newbury Park, California.
Uh-huh.
and I found out that this. So we opened. There's a staircase, a spiral staircase, and we opened the door underneath the staircase, and there's a bunch of just like picture frames and broken guitars, and there is anal beads and there's dildos, and we're like, wait a minute, I know that we didn't put this stuff there.
Yeah.
It was already there. And
Yeah.
so I come to find out it's a very, very popular porn shoot location, right? And one of my friends is Craven Moorhead, who's a porn director.
Yes.
Do you know Craven?
I don't know him personally, but I am
Of course
familiar
you
with
know.
his work. Yeah.
Okay. So
It's an award-winning director right there.
he saw our, yes, he is. He
Yeah.
saw our video, and he texted me. He goes, dude, this was so good. He goes, I hope this isn't where you put craft services. And it was the kitchen island with a picture of a dude naked, his ass on the island, and this chick riding him. Like they did it right there. He's like, I hope that's not where you guys ate off of.
Was that? Did you get that like right after lunch? I hope.
Dude,
Not?
no, I got it after we'd seen the video, and I realized it was. Fortunately, it was not where we ate.
Okay,
we
good.
ate in the garage.
Good,
Yeah.
good. All right. So, Poontang Boomerang, which you can see now on Vimeo. This song now we're gonna get a little inside baseball here on some '80s metal talk. But as soon as I heard this very bluesy bridge to this song, Stix, I thought it was reminiscent of maybe like a Rat's Way Cool Jr. or a Warrant's Uncle Tom's Cabin. Was this any homage to any particular blues artist that maybe influences Steel Panther?
Yes, I'm gonna reach deep into the vault right now, Richard. I'm gonna tell you that the intro, if you listen to it, you'll hear a little bit of "Blackout in the Red Room" by Love Hate.
Okay. Now I've got to go back and listen again.
Oh
All
yeah,
right.
your ears are gonna explode.
Okay. All right. Very nice. Thought I was on to something there. Frank, you got a question for Stix?
That's when you came in. Another epic power ballad from the band. I was looking for a woman more beautiful than most, and not just in the retouched Facebook selfies that they post.
Yep.
How has the band had to adapt to the perils of modern technology when it is when it's retained to getting laid?
Yeah, because you guys have been in this game since the 80s, Stix. I mean, retouched Facebook selfies, that wasn't
Yeah.
anything you were worried about, Bobby Brown doing
AOL,
or anything
right?
like that.
Catfishing, man. I mean,
Yeah, that wasn't a thing in the 80s. So how has that affected the band? Is that something you guys have had to adapt to when it comes to picking up the chicks?
Well, yes and no. In a way, like sometimes you'll get hit up on Twitter, like, "Hey, maybe we could meet up in Charlottesville, Tennessee, North Carolina, or wherever it is,
right.
right?" And they're like, and so I'll tweet back, "Hey, what do you look like? I'll let you know if we can meet up." Then they send a picture, and I'm like, "Okay, let's meet up."
Yeah.
And we meet up, and that's not the same chick, or it's just a horrible version of the picture that they sent. That's, sometimes you have to go through with the whole thing because you committed. You're like, you committed to the time. What else am I going to do?
admire
Because I
that.
blew off every other plan.
You stick
so
through.
I'm going to do it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, we've suffered a little bit.
Well, I'll tell
That's
you
some mental
the,
toughness, man. That's admirable.
I'll tell you the mistake those ladies made, though, is they didn't lower the bar. They did the exact opposite. They were expectations
promised
were
high,
too
delivered
high.
low.
That's right.
They totally did. You're
Yeah.
right, except for I see they're lowering the bar. I raise you my lowering the bar. Therefore, my expectations were pretty damn low to begin with. You can't fool me, lady.
All right. Let's see. Another track on Lower the Bar. Now the fun starts. Now this was, to me, I sense just a hint of some unexplored psychedelic themes by the band. And I was thinking about, like the Rolling Stones were very established when they had their departure with Beggar's Banquet. Is this anything we could see from Steel Panther in terms of more of this type of musical exploration?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, actually. I think, that song in particular is, to me, the heaviest song on the record. It's just slow and drony and heavy, and it's unlike anything we've ever put out, and it, honestly, musically, it turns me on the most out of all the songs on this record, and I would love to see us go in some different directions. There's something to be said for bands that do a little exploration, but if you're like a band like Radiohead, like they put out the Bends, right? And those were great pop songs. But then they did OK Computer, which was cool. But then they did Kid A, which was a bunch of fucking bleeps and bloops and blops and dashes and dingles and dongles.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a stupid record. Nobody's going to listen to that. It's too far out there. I think Now the Fun Starts is just far outside our norm enough that people will go, okay, I can get on board with this. And I'd like to explore a little bit more of that, but we're not about to put out a fucking Kid A. No way.
You gotta know how much is too much. You gotta know where to draw that line.
Totally.
I gotcha.
Pussy ain't free.
Pussy ain't free. Yeah, this gets
That's
us
a good
right
one,
back
right?
into the Steel Panther wheelhouse here.
Right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
That song
It's
seems
totally true, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. It seems to lament on the trappings of financial success and the complications that come along with the success and fame. I think I can relate to that.
That's something you would know about,
a
Frank.
little bit,
You've had
you know.
some financial success. You're a famous guy.
Yeah, I'm glad we went on that end that I can relate to.
Yeah.
Although obviously not on the same level as Steel Panther, but I heard up until recently Michael Starr was in a Hollywood Hills mansion while the other three band members were sharing an apartment in Glendale.
That's right. That was weird. When I found that out, that was the case, Stix, that you guys were, I don't know how that financial discrepancy happened, but clearly somebody in the band was doing better than the other three, right?
Are you guys keeping a little bit closer eye on that now?
I mean, you say somebody we were all doing really well, but the paperwork got messed up in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And it's evening out now.
Okay.
So now we have 3 separate apartments, which is cool.
Oh, okay.
And we're all saving up to rent a big house.
Okay.
Us 3.
Sure.
It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight. I gotta have you guys over, and we'll get some of those chicks sending Facebook selfies.
Sure, because nothing says fiscal responsibility like renting a large mansion. That's always a great idea.
Dude, yeah. Ask any rapper on MTV.
That's a good question, Frank. And I see why you would ask that, because you're looking at this going, hey, it looks great and everything, but along with the money comes more of the problems.
But I got to tell you, Frank brings up a really good point. No matter who you are, pussy ain't free.
No.
You could be like, oh, dude, I get pussy I never pay for pussy. Guess what, dum-dum? You do. Mm-hmm. You do. Did you buy her dinner? Yep. Did you guys go to the movies? Yep. Did you guys go to Magic Mountain? Yep. That shit costs money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just pay for it, get it done, and then you don't have to talk to her.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a much more direct approach. Now, the downside of being that type of lady is that a lot of times they have to take that morning walk of shame, Frank.
Yes.
And, Steel Panther is by no means the first group of musicians to address this in song, but they definitely gave it the original Steel Panther treatment. This, to me, Stix, of all of the Michael Starr lyrics, was one of the ones that really stood out to me on this new album, Lower the Bar. Many moons pass and your tits grow long, but your pussy don't ever stop craving the dong. Now a bunch of old folks gangbanging doesn't seem so wrong. Now that's clearly a callback to Gangbang at the Old Folks Home, which was off of your previous release, All You Can Eat. And, that was a song that I think was labeled by a lot of critics as maybe being over the top. And I'm wondering if you think any of the lyrical themes of Steel Panther may be, in retrospect, treated more kindly by rock historians, if they're a little misunderstood or maligned now.
I think the older that those historians and critics get, the more they're going to relate to Gangbang at the Old Folks Home, because they're going to be 80 years old going, man, she's looking pretty fine. And it's going to be an old hag, and they'll be like, you know what? They were way ahead of their time, because I would love to fuck a bunch of old people right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, when you think about it, it's just ageism. It's just
Well, we're celebrating the old people.
Yeah.
I think it sounds like. Did you ever see The Revenant?
Yeah.
So when the Indians talk to each other,
Yes. Yeah.
and like I can imagine one of the Indians in The Revenant saying, "Many moons pass, tits grow long."
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. Like if you imagine an Indian singing it, it's pretty cool.
It does add something to it.
Yeah, it has a real spiritual quality to it, doesn't it?
Many moons pass, tits grow long. Like that's pretty cool.
This that track also featured the lyrical refrain of "fucking Lexi's mom is so rock and roll," and this isn't new. We've heard about the legendary promiscuity of Lexi's mom. Now, I have a little bit of an inside track to the music world, and I had heard a rumor that Lexi was bothered by that to the point that he may not have actually been in the studio to play his parts on that song. Is there any truth to the rumor, Stix, that there may have been a studio musician on that track, maybe like a Bob Daisley or even a Bob Ezrin playing the bass track on that? Lexi had just heard enough about it and his mother.
Well, Lexi thought that he was not in the studio for that song, but he's so stupid.
Oh.
That he recorded that song, and we actually had Rudy Sarzo playing on Wrong Side of the Tracks.
Yeah.
So that you're actually hearing Rudy Sarzo from Quiet Riot and White Snake, the legendary Rudy Sarzo, playing on what Lexi thought was Walk of Shame.
Okay.
And he's like, I'm not going to record that song.
Right.
And, in his squeaky Lexi voice. And he showed up to record that song because he thought it was the different song. So he was trying to make a point, but he totally didn't.
He missed, didn't he?
Yeah, he missed
again.
Well, to further the point, the band has even merchandised Lexi's mom's promiscuity.
Yeah, they got the T-shirt.
Yeah, does he ever get upset that he sees like a fan wearing the "I bang Lexi mom"?
Yeah, you guys.
He can't read.
Oh,
so that solves that problem right there.
Because I was wondering.
Yeah, you can make anything. The guy he'll go, oh, that's so awesome.
Oh, he's illiterate. Because see, I was wondering as soon as I saw those "I bang Lexi's mom" T-shirts go up at Steel Panther.
So there's pictures of him with fans.
Yeah. And so he's probably right, Stix? Like he's probably actually posing with fans somewhere wearing that shirt, and because he's illiterate, he doesn't even know what it says?
He doesn't know what it says, but if you throw a camera in his face, he's just going to be happy.
Okay.
That's just how he rolls.
I see. All right. Well, and this finally though, this record also has a celebrity guest appearance on it. Hall of Famer, the great Robin Zander from Cheap Trick, on a Cheap Trick original that you guys are covering. She's Tight. And he's in the video as well. There's a lot of hot chicks in this video, and there's Robin Zander with like a real bright shade of red lipstick. And I thought to myself, Steel Panther is no stranger to the drug-induced haze. I hope none of the guys in the band actually banged Robin Zander before they figured out that he wasn't one of those hot girls.
No. You know what? I mean, come on. Nobody's going to fuck Robin Zander. Like, in our band. Like a bunch of chicks will, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But in our band, we all already know what he looks like because we're all Cheap Trick fans.
Yeah.
There's no way, I don't think, that any one of us would end up having sex with him.
Yeah. You don't think?
No. But no.
Let's just hold on. Let me present you a scenario, okay? Cheap Trick is out on the road right now with Foreigner. Let's just say that Foreigner falls out. Mick Jones pulls the plug on that operation, and there is an opportunity for Steel Panther to step in and finish that tour in that Foreigner slot, but somebody in the band has got to spend a romantic night with Robin Zander.
Oh, yeah. Somebody would definitely do that, but I'm just saying that nobody would accidentally.
Okay, I see.
You would definitely intentionally do it for the tour.
Yeah.
because that's how we roll.
Commitment.
But did you know that She's Tight video? Did you know who else makes an appearance in that?
Okay, did I see Bobby Brown?
You did.
Okay.
Do you know who else?
Yes. Let me just let me explain. Bobby Brown. Do you know the song "Cherry Pie" by Warrant? Maybe one of the most played. I'll tell you where you know it from because you've worked so many years in strip clubs, Frank. It's got to be. Tell me if you think I'm wrong, Stix, but I think the most played songs in the history of strip clubs are "Cherry Pie" by Warrant, "Pour Some Sugar on Me" by Def Leppard, and maybe the all-time king is "You Shook Me All Night Long" by AC/DC.
Yeah, those are good calls, dude. I can't argue with those.
Yeah, so Bobby Brown was in a very famous video. Okay, so I know I saw Bobby Brown. Did I also see Michael Jackson's daughter?
You did. You.
How weird is that?
Devil,
Seriously, I did not know that. I just saw the video. I've never bothered to look that up. And you see her for a second, and her name's is it Paris?
Paris Jackson is in the video.
How did you guys come to cast her in that?
You know what, Michael? We were shooting.
Don't tell me she popped out of that same closet at the porn house that the anal beads were in. It wasn't there.
That would have been so killer.
Yeah. How'd you get it?
No, dude. Michael just reached out to her. He just texted her. He's like, "You want to come be in a video?" And she's like, "Where do I gotta be? When? I'm down." It was really cool. It was super easy.
Well, then I guess the bigger question that it begged was, how did Michael Starr just happen to have Paris Jackson's phone number?
You know what? This is a legit thing. I'm going to tell you right now. This is pretty sweet. We were on the tour bus once.
Yeah.
And Michael and Lexi had a phone directory off. They're like, who's got more famous people in your phone directory? And they went line by line by line by line. And Lexi ended up winning.
Wow. Lexi won. Michael had Paris Jackson, but somehow, do you remember the number that cinched it? Do you remember the contact?
I can't remember who the contact was, but I just know that it was like he had a lot of celebrities in his phone.
It was a closer.
Like a shocking amount.
Yeah. How many rounds did it go before somebody had to resort to Ron Jeremy? Because he's like the free space on the bingo card of name dropping, right?
Ron is like a default. Everybody has his number. He totally doesn't count. But I know so when we go to football, Michael Starr has Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Romo,
mm-hmm.
Jason Witten, Carson Palmer. He's got the football thing covered, right?
Okay.
So he won the football, the sports guys.
Yeah.
But then you go over to Lexi Fox, and you got Jeremy Renner, an actor.
Yeah.
Hawkeye.
Charlize. Yes, Hawkeye. Charlize Theron.
Mm.
I can't even remember. Drew Carey. He's got all these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so he ended up taking, you would be if he lost his phone,
mm-hmm.
TMZ would go fucking crazy.
Yeah. Now, did and they're just going to easily guess the passcode of 6969. I mean, nothing
or
to
5150.
Or Now, did at any point during that did you pipe up with I got Frank Mir here? Here's Frank Mir.
Frank hasn't given me his number. I've asked him 4 times.
Oh man, I'm just that douche.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll make sure you guys trade numbers when we come out to see. I assume are we invited? Can we come out to see Steel Panther in Vegas here in the next couple of weeks?
Dude, I would love you guys to come.
Awesome,
for real. You guys always have a table at our show.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to come out and see Steel Panther. If you're in the Las Vegas area, it is tomorrow night, Thursday, May the 4th, and then also a week from tomorrow night, May the 11th, at Mandalay Bay at the House of Blues. Great place to see a show in Steel Panther. SteelPantherRocks.com is the website. You can follow Stix on Twitter at Stix Zadinia. All right, Stix. It is a pleasure. It is always a pleasure to talk with you. You guys have hit another one out of the park here with this new record, Lower the Bar. And I even like the fact that you put it out on green vinyl. I'm going to get me a vinyl copy of it. I lost him. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh.
Hold on. We're going to bring you back. Hold on. We had a little microphone malfunction. Pull it out. Pull it back in. There we go. Do I have you now, Stix?
You there? Got me?
What'd you say?
Oh, I just finished giving you the winning lottery numbers.
Nah!
But no, that green vinyl looks sick. Huh?
It really does. It really does. And I have a whole vinyl lounge set up in my loft. I'm one of those guys. So I will be happy to add it to my prestigious vinyl collection. Yeah, that does look really cool. Yeah.
Well, hey, thank you guys for having me. This was fun. I like the FaceTime. Travis is a good representative of your show.
Yeah. Yeah, Travis is a good representation of the show. And you, Stix, by the way, I mean, we've caught you off stage, but this look you've got going tonight, it's a little bit like the morning after the station fire when they arraigned Jack Russell from Great White.
You know what? It's been a long day, bro. It's been a long damn day. Oh, by the way, Travis, when you do this again...
I can't believe I just said that, by the way.
Will you please get a hat that says "Stop fucking staring at me" on the top of it? Because you're all I'm staring at the whole time, and it would be so awesome. Because it would just force me to have to keep looking away.
Stix Zadinia of Steel Panther. We'll see you tomorrow night here in Las Vegas. Okay, buddy?
Thank you guys very much.
All right. Good to see you. There goes Stix.
Cheers.
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Oh, I've laughed so hard now I need to, lay down or something.
You're
but I
losing
can't
it
because we
there.
have more podcasts to do. Those guys, man, they're the triple threat. They are musically talented. They obviously have the look and everything that goes with. They're great players. They're great songwriters, but they're also funny guys. That is the key. I mean, even in between songs, it's a great show. So if you've never seen Steel Panther, you need to see Steel Panther. All right. Angelo. Believe it or not, boxing was not the only thing that we brought Angelo on to talk about tonight.
Believe it or not.
Because you are also our Filipino correspondent.
Oh, my God.
Were you aware of this yet?
I'm not aware of anything except for Jimmy Kimmel.
Right.
But I'm not aware of anything.
You are.
Yeah,
We're not a resident Filipino.
We're not there yet, but you are our Filipino correspondent, and our president, Donald Trump, has shocked the world by inviting...
He's good at doing that.
Yes, he is. He's invited your president, Rodrigo Duterte...
Oh, he's not my president.
Oh, to the...
I'm an American.
Well, yes, but you have ties there because you're our Filipino correspondent. He's invited him to visit the White House. Now, explain to us a little bit about this Duterte fellow, because he's immensely popular in the Philippines, and that may have something to do with, I believe what he does is he guns down anybody that doesn't like him, right?
Now here's the thing.
One way
to
stack the
I
odds
don't get
in
into
your favor.
politics, Frank, and it's not that I'm paying attention to this, but of course, when he became president, I'd asked all of the contacts that I have within the community and
your family members.
Oh no! I'm talking the actual media people. You know, remember I was just in the Philippines 2015 for one of Honest Fights, right?
Okay.
So, and then I was there for Brandon Vera's fight. You know, so Brandon lives there now.
Yeah.
He lives in the Philippines. So, but from what everybody has said, and having been born in the Philippines, I grew up there when I was a little kid, I could understand why so many of even the media people like him.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he's popular with media?
He has like an 80% approval rate.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, since 1988, this guy has never lost an election.
Let me put this to you in this context. Okay? Mm-hmm. So, Richard, you're living in a country where basically you know to your face that they're corrupt, the politicians, they're taking money out of your pockets. You're seeing terrible, like you're seeing homelessness. Just, I mean, it makes you sick. People are dying.
Like back to the Marcos regime days.
Well, see, now here's what's funny, too. When you talk to other people about Marcos. And again, I'm not trying to get into politics. I'm just telling you what people have told me. And I didn't grow up in the Marcos. I was there, but I'm talking like the early Marcos years going through before all of that. A lot of people thought Marcos was one of the best presidents because of how he had a way of running the country. Again, that's not to say what he did was wrong. Obviously what he did was wrong in the revolution and the whole bit. So with Duterte, from what people have told me, and again, I haven't been back in the country since he's become president.
Yeah.
But everybody is saying that he is fixing every single political corruption problem where he's taking the money that's supposed to be going to the people and he's putting it back into the people, and he's building hospitals and houses. And
this guy's still wearing flannel shirts and he's not driving around in a Mercedes.
He walks down the street. He's eating. This guy.
He's a man of the people. Where was he a mayor of? I forgot what town was he a mayor for 20 years?
He was in the southern region of...
And it didn't have one of the highest crime rates, like murder capital of the Philippines. Yeah. And now it's one of the safest places you can go to, right?
Yeah.
And greatly just to him.
And again, you have to... But it's hard, right? Like, before you make any type of opinions on... Let's say you want to have an opinion on the Philippines, right? Study the whole thing. Even study it for 10 years. In the last 10 years, how bad or how good do you think it's all gone? And why do you think so many people like this guy? Because the corruption was so bad that literally it was to your face. Like, hey, by the way, we're going to take that pork barrel money and we're going to buy a ton of houses with it. And by the way, you're still going to be poor and we're not going to do anything about it. And this guy came in and said, no, you can't do that anymore. And if you do it, you're in big trouble, Buster.
Well, the thing that seems a little hard to get past, though, might be the extrajudicial death squads, because while I'm sure he may call it streamlining the process, getting rid of a lot of the red tape. Duterte is not really known for, he's not named due process because he is clearing out something to the tune of about 7,000 accused drug runners, just saving them the trouble, the cost and expense of a trial.
Right.
We might have a little bit of a hiccup there.
It's just hard, man. I mean, I don't know. You would have had to grow up there to see some of the bad to kind of maybe be okay with some of those things. I'm not saying it's okay to kill anybody. I'm just saying he's the new president. That's the rule he's making. And if you work clean in the first place, you're not going to be one of those people.
Well, wait a minute.
Funny about
him,
But I think here's my interesting take on it a little bit.
Yeah.
I think, the book The Prince by Machiavelli, right, where he talks about you can be, the Italian monarchy, how basically he was telling the kings, like, look, you can be a shit king, but if you're godly and you act the part and people think that you're good, that's more important than actually being good, right? And I think that Duarte actually might be the opposite of that.
He's the opposite.
Where he actually, if you look at his results, like the fact everybody there loves him and he's cleaning up the streets, drugs are down. I mean, we can argue about some of this process, but we can't really argue with the results.
Right.
But then he says some of the most outlandish shit where it's like, did you really say that? I mean, some of the stuff he said about Obama being the son of a whore, and then
pretty rough.
Well, the one statement that he said that I read, I was like, damn. Like, it might have been one of the worst statements I've ever heard of a politician anybody in public ever saying out loud. Like, it would be one of those things that if we all said it as a joke at a party, it would stop the music. Like, I look at you and go like, dude, that's not even funny. Was with the one girl that got gang raped. And then he made a joke that, well, the sad part was I didn't get to go first because she was so beautiful. I'm like, whoa. You know what I mean? But I mean, and that can detract you from the fact that he actually gets good shit done, but then he just says such mind-bogglingly awful shit. I mean, how do you defend that statement,
Yeah, no, there's stuff that he's definitely done that's hard to defend.
So are we getting any closer maybe then to understanding why Donald Trump seems to be a fan of him? Because he has called Trump corrupt.
Okay.
So he
wasn't a fan of Trump in 2016, right?
Yeah, he has said
Before he won.
he said disparaging things about Donald Trump as well. But Trump does seem to be a fan of these strong men. Trump likes these guys and he really does seem to. Trump loves polls and unless they're negative, of course, then they're fake news. But obviously, this is not a fake news poll because Duterte is popular. But here's the problem with, and I know what you're saying, Angelo. I mean, it's like I could go into prisons and, if I just cleared out the ones that I knew were dead to rights criminals, I don't have a problem with that. But if you're looking to stave off corruption, here's the concern about that. Let me first get known as a guy who just deals swift justice to drug dealers, and then if I get compromised, what I start doing is, you disagree with me? You know what? I think you might be a drug dealer.
Right.
I hadn't noticed it before, but now that I look at you and you're giving me some grief, I think you might be dealing some drugs. And if everybody at that point is kind of used to, we just gun them down, then when you're gunned down without trial, people go, well, must have been a drug dealer.
And on top of that, I think what they're saying is starting to occur is that death squads that aren't the death squad are coming in. Basically, it's other drug dealers taking advantage of the fact that, we're going to storm in here and gun down our competitors, and they'll just ripe it off. Oh, it's the government coming in and cleaning people out.
Right.
And so there's a lot of, it's like it's the wild, wild west. It's like, well, hold on a second.
Right.
We kind of have to let the desk clear here and see who are the bad guys.
Right. See, and that gets us back to that old capital punishment argument, Frank. It's like there's no good way to really implement it. It can sound like a good idea.
Right.
When we're talking about, I don't know, you think we all let Charles Manson live or not? There's some kind of easy ones.
Penal islands.
Yeah, but then when you get into that was my favorite porn series, by the way, too. Penal Island 1 through 7 were fantastic.
I just say drop them off on an island.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you a fan at all of the Dune series, Frank Herbert?
I'm aware of it, but I have not read it.
They have a whole prison planet that they had. Anyways.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Which never made sense to me that the Fremen that were supposedly better warriors because they lived out in the desert and, were hard, but then it's like, wait a minute, but these guys I forgot why can't I remember the name of the guys who grew up on the planet. Basically, if you were a prisoner, they'd throw you on this planet, and then the emperor would come by and recruit anybody because they were all just criminals killing and murdering each other. And then if you survived long enough on this planet, you got redemption by getting inside the Imperial Army. And now we're on a different tangent.
Huh.
Yeah, it's and I don't know that Duterte has read the Dune series either. I think, if Frank Mir were a member of the cabinet, I'm not sure how far this conversation would get. But it's one of these things that between this and between this and the possible invitation to Kim Jong Un to
so let me
sit
ask you:
down
do you
and
think
talk.
he'll come? Do you think Duterte will
I tell you what, I did get a kick out of the fact that he said he might be too busy. We were talking about playing hard to get. I mean, it's like this.
He might be pretty busy.
It's like this is the only U.S. presidential administration that would possibly give out such an invitation, and he's like big time, and I'm going, I don't know, I got some other things going on.
He might have some other things going on. Talking to Singapore's leader, talking to China.
Here's the problem with that, guys, is that the thing is that the U.S. is to those guys, and by those guys I mean, regardless of what he says, Duterte, Kim Jong Un, they revere the United States, and it's if you look at Kim Jong Un's father, when Kim Jong Il, remember when Bill Clinton had to go over and get the 2 female journalists out of there that were being held over there, and if you look at those photos, Kim Jong Un was beside himself with glee that Bill Clinton had come to see him, and they're posing with these photos where Kim Jong Il is just gushing look who came to see me, and this expression on Bill Clinton's face is like, just get this short motherfucker away from me. Let's get on the jet with the ladies and let's get out of here.
Well, send me a stewardess.
Right, but that is how the United States is looked at. So regardless of what they say about us. every leader like that wants that kind of recognition from the United States, and particularly from a U.S. president. And I'm not saying that it's not okay to, ever consider talking to them, but it's an honor to even this is what really is American exceptionalism. It's an honor for a U.S. president to really even acknowledge you in a serious way.
I travel a lot internationally now. I can go anywhere in the world, and if there's a TV station on and there's news, I can tell you what's going on in the U.S.
Oh, right, yeah.
That's true. Actually, Frank, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Because
if I'm in Russia,
yep.
I can watch news in the U.S. I was in
100%.
Tajikistan. The news was on. There was something about the U.S. The majority of other countries, but guess what? Us, I don't have any. When was the last time Hong Kong? You know what I mean? I'm not gonna just throw other names out there and throw people.
No, but
under
we
the
don't.
bus.
You're right. We don't see it.
We're not. There's other countries that we do hear about, Britain. Obviously, if something happens over there with Theresa May, that she's also up there. But to your point, people, crack jokes. Oh, U.S. I'm like, yeah, but we're the center of your attention.
Yeah, it's true.
We are still the center of the world. We are Rome. This is it. No matter where I go in the world, so far that I've traveled, I have yet to find a place that
didn't
people
show the United States
that doesn't know who our president is.
Yeah, no, that's true. Actually, when I was in Mexico, that's all they showed.
Yeah,
they kept showing it over and over. I'm like, damn. I'm like in America. They just keep showing the American.
We are the hot chick of global governments, and
Absolutely.
it's and what you got to do with a hot chick, you got to work for it. You know what I mean? This isn't just any girl you can saunter up to at the bar. I mean, it's you have to come with something even to just get the conversation going, and I like it that way. And I'm just saying that I really think that we have to be very careful with this idea that we're just going to sort of throw around these invitations before, show me something first, and then maybe we'll talk about it.
And another way I try to relate it to people, because when people sit there and go, China owns us, I'm like, wait, hold on a second. China is the number one producer of goods in the world, right?
Yeah.
U.S. is the number 2. But do you know who the number 1 purchaser of goods are in the world? Is us. We are the number 1 purchaser. And if anybody knows anything about business, who has the most power out of all your clients? Probably who buys the most shit. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? I mean, if you think about it, if someone walks in and they go, that's our number 1 customer,
right? How
do you treat them? If I'm running Nordstrom's and all of a sudden someone goes, here's Mrs. Fertitta and she spends $100,000 a month here, guess what? Everybody's jumping around. I mean, she might leave and you can say whatever the hell you want to, crack jokes or whatever, and God forbid she ever hears you or gets back to her. But at the end of the day, if she says she doesn't like what shirt you're wearing, in 5 minutes you're going to be wearing a different T-shirt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or you're going home.
Yeah. She's not a fan of...
Did Trump say why he was inviting him over? Just to have tea and crumpets or something? Or
well, he has spoken favorably of him in the past.
Okay.
And I think it's more than... This is my opinion, but I think it's more than anything just kind of a lack of experience in terms of knowing what is okay to say and not say to one of these guys when you're on the phone with them. That sounds really simple, but like with Kim Jong-un, I guarantee you there was an entire State Department and a national security advisor and some generals and a whole bunch of people who were stunned when they heard him say publicly, it would be an honor. That's the word he used. It would be an honor to sit down and talk to this guy. Now, who was real happy to hear it was Kim Jong-un. I guarantee you they put that all over North Korean television the minute it was said. But there's just some, What brought it up?
What's the game plan on that? Why did he say that?
So there is a theory.
Yeah, please explain the theory on that, because there's a lot of things that I can defend from Trump, and that one actually is really probably, for me, that irritated me the most. Well, that I can think of at the top of my head.
Well, there is a theory too, and it's not because of anything he's ever acknowledged, but some people do say, okay, maybe his thing is that, he likes it when people say nice things about him, he tends to say nice things about them. And so maybe it's kind of like I'll flatter you and then maybe you'll flatter me and this sort of thing. But that really, to me, that's just sort of a corporate mindset, where we may own different businesses, but at the end of the day, you and I are businessmen who are just looking to make a buck and whatever. We'll smile, do whatever we need to do with each other in order to mutually profit. And that's not what you're talking about with this. I mean, this is a whole different animal. And so that's the part that worries me, just in terms of the lack of preparation of this kind of thing.
Yeah, that bugged me. I thought the dialogue was going along the lines of, he's a 27-year-old kid. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's very young. He might not understand what's going on here, the full ramifications of his actions, his words. Let's give him a chance. If he wants to come here and talk, maybe we can open up the doors and have some dialogue and explain things. Like, basically almost saying, like, all right, look, he's a little youngster, a little wet behind the ears. He's been kind of, cuddled his whole life, being told he's a living god. Let's give the guy a little bit of space, and maybe if if he's willing to come over here, we can, learn him a thing or two,
right.
type of scenario. And then to sit there and go be honored, I'm like, what? That was kind of a shift in attitude. I thought we were like, like Mattis, you're going to send his ass down there to go fucking put this guy in check.
Yeah, and we also should never lose sight of the fact that these are horrible people we're talking. I mean, these are people that kill people on a whim for, just getting slightly crossways with you. They're family members, doing it in horrific ways. I mean, extremely oppressive regimes. I'm not so naive as to say, oh, well, we're going to be the moral police and we can't we can't get anything from anybody who has that mindset. But that being said, we don't talk about the honor in dealing with. Sometimes we have, frenemies or, associations of convenience, but that doesn't mean that we ever just completely dismiss all their, human rights atrocities.
They don't have a Roger Moore?
Mm-hmm. What, from James Bond?
James Bond?
No. Who's the guy, the filmmaker that makes all the...
Michael Moore.
Thank you, sorry. If we were as oppressive as North Korea, Michael Moore would not exist.
Oh, no.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so no.
Yes,
I mean, I don't think that we're 100% innocent. I'm not that naive to think that our government probably isn't without its skeletons in its closet. But at the end of the day, we have our guys that can say shit and be, and have a platform to say, whatever the fuck they want to say, whereas that doesn't happen in North Korea. That you can't sit there, they don't have that. So to me, it's like, all right, there is a real definitive line of freedom where if right now I wanted to get a T-shirt and say, fuck Trump and say my mind, no one's arresting me. I'm not going to get shot. 3 generations of my family are not being thrown into a prison. If you can't,
we would definitely not be 119 episodes deep into this podcast.
No, you know what I'm saying? Like, it might not be in good taste.
Yeah.
We have a tour. Professional athletes on national television can take a knee during the Pledge of Allegiance, and it's a debate whether it's in good taste or not, and what it means. And
Dude,
it's just
we have a professional athlete who just got drafted who beat up a woman.
Well, yeah, but on a political level, we have guys that take knees during the. Let me see that happen in North Korea. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you want to sit there and talk about, okay, the next time that Kim Jong-un comes around, can I see somebody not clap for him?
Yeah, right.
Just be like, no,
Yeah.
throw a shoe at him. Let me see that happen. I seen a guy throw a shoe at our president of the United States, and he didn't get quartered and hung. You know what I mean? Like, come on.
No, he just had to be quick on his feet.
Right.
I'm just saying that there's a freedom that we have here. There's no absolute freedom. I realize that we have to battle for it every day, that there's censorship. Even right now with the internet, there's battles going on there as far as the freedom of information that we're going to be able to receive. But at least there's battles we can fight. Other countries, North Korea specifically, they don't have those battles. It's completely just, you go on Google Maps and look over the top, like it's a black hole.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's read some Phone Booth Fighting listener emails, Frank, after we tell you about real water. You know, we drink real water. Frank and I do exclusively. It keeps us hydrated. It's very important. It's essential for a professional athlete like Frank, and it's very important for a guy like me who's trying to avoid a kidney stone. Real water, a premium drinking water that has legitimate 8.0 pH level that utilizes their proprietary E2 technology. It makes it the only drinking water on the market that can maintain a stable negative ionization. Since real water is alkaline with an 8.0 pH and is negative ionized, it can help your body to restore balance and reach your full potential. You can order yours today at drinkrealwater.com. And we thank Real Water for keeping us hydrated, and also our partners now in Real MMA. You got to come out to a Real MMA show, Frank. Now, Angelo. Now that Frank and I are
so are
minority
you guys
owners,
the promoter, or are you the matchmaker, or what exactly
here's
is it?
what we are.
You two do
everything.
Yeah, we're minority owners. We both have a minority ownership stake. So far, I have tried to focus mostly on the song selection from the DJ. I have some real strong opinions, and let me tell you something. The gangsta rap quotient has significantly diminished since I took the helm.
So we're going to hear more Steel Panther, stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
There's a lot more Saxon and UFO and that sort of thing.
Can I ask you guys how the last event went?
Great sellout.
We did actually talk about it on our TV show, and we told everybody to go.
Thank you very much.
Samstown.
Yep, Samstown Casino sold that out. In fact, they even expanded it this time to be able to seat a couple of extra 100 people, and we sold that one out. So what we're hoping to do now is, at some point, move it to a bigger venue, stay within the Boyd Gaming family there, but move it to a bigger venue. But even if we don't just yet, it's still a great place to see fights. Of course, we kicked off the Invicta tournament. There's some amateur female 125-pounders fighting for an Invicta contract.
Did Shannon Knapp come?
She was not at this one.
Okay. She was supposed to be. She had her father got some issues. She will be, though.
Okay.
Yeah, she had an illness in the family, but she will be. She's going to award a 3-fight contract to the winner of this 8-woman tournament.
That's awesome.
By the fall, you can just X out of that.
In watching, or just the very little I know about real MMA, but I noticed it's not a cage.
No, it's a
ring.
It's a ring,
like the old Pride days.
Okay,
I prefer that. I think it's better. Obviously, a cage sometimes comes down to who's the better wrestler, because you can drive someone up against it, and then it takes away from jiu-jitsu. Because if you take someone down, you don't have to know as much about jiu-jitsu. I can kind of teach you, like, look, just jam his head against the cage, keep moving, perpendicular to the cage, driving against it, and it's going to throw off arm bars, triangles, and omoplatas, and hip movements and sweeps, and it makes it more difficult. So it turns almost into a wrestling match. And what I like about the ropes is that you can't do that. If I take you down, you have to know how to fight on the ground. I can't just rely on shoving your head against something and going, all right, now you're stuck, you can't move. And then also, too, you just can't just, drive someone against the ropes and know that, okay, now they can't sprawl. Well, guess what? Their feet can go past the ropes. So if you just rely upon that tactic, real basic, barbaric, who's stronger, who has a better drive, it eliminates that. So I think it makes it more technical.
Oh, that's awesome. See, he's like a promoter already. He's explaining to me why what do you guys call it? Is it a ring? What's it called?
What is
ring?
It's a ring.
Okay, like is there I'm used to boxing ring square.
Right.
So is there like a name, like an octa ring?
It has this particular ring has 5 or 6 sides to it.
Okay.
I don't know. I was busy paying attention to the playlist, so I didn't count the
get a
sides
better
to
answer
the
for
ring.
you,
but
sir.
yeah,
Okay, all right.
absolutely.
Okay, cool.
All right. Phone Booth Fighting listener questions, Frank, have come to us via our email inbox, and the first one is from a regular listener, Jay Anitra. He asked this question, Frank. He says, is the fight of the night bonus in the UFC essentially compensation for the extra brain damage the fighters just endured? I know not all the fights that win this bonus are slugfests, but the majority are. With that being said, isn't this bonus an extra incentive to all fighters to have an all-out slugfest and risk their health further? Should we judge fight of the night fights differently? What is your take on this?
I don't think that fighters need an incentive to fight hard. I think that most guys show up. And I got to be honest with you. If you're sitting on the stool and your motivation to want to destroy the man in front of you is purely financial at that moment, you're not a fighter, man.
Yeah.
You're not. You know what I mean? Like, you're in the wrong sport. I mean, that'd be like being a musician going, you see all these people out here? Yeah. Fuck, I'm going to get paid.
Yeah.
Like, then you're not a real musician. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you know, I think that you do things because you love, you love the sport. You love the actual practice or craft of what you're in. And so it sounds cool, and it gives something people to talk about. I think fight bonuses of fight of the night, it's an interesting, you know, conversation. It just kind of, you know, it's topical. You know, it's kind of like, you know, who's pound for pound the best fighter in the world type, you know, conversation. I don't think it makes fighters fight any harder. In fact, if anything, I think just having a guarantee to know whether you win or lose, you get paid the same. I think that makes fighters fight harder.
Yes.
Because I think when a fighter worries that if he loses a fight, that he might not get paid as much, then you see a conservative fighter. And that's what you've seen in boxing. You've seen boxers, and that's what killed boxing there for a while, is you get guys go out there and go, I know I'm up on the scorecards, I'm not going to take a chance. Because they don't want to lose, because losing a match in boxing was super detrimental. You know,
still is to this day.
Yeah,
But yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, you had to be 30-0 if you wanted that title shot.
Yes.
You could never have an L, no matter what the situation were. It was like, well, I was going for the knockout and I got caught. You're done, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think that's an issue that fighters just got. I'm a fan of just a flat fee. You show up, you fight, you're getting paid. Go out there and now win because you want to win. I mean, what fighter at this level is not fighting because they want to win? I mean, and really, I think it would weed it out really quick. If a guy just shows up and like, I'm just here to get paid, that would be incredible to me if he made it to this point in his career, you know, and if he did, it'd be easy to cut the guy afterwards. All right, you don't have what it takes to be here. You're out of here. I mean, when you see a Donald Cerrone get rocked and get up and he's going to start swinging, he's not thinking about his fight bonus. Jim Miller's not thinking about his win bonus. Joe Lozon, Diego Sanchez, all these guys who have multiple, I think they're all in the leads, you know, for having multiple, you know, fight of the night bonuses. I don't think one of them, I guarantee, I'd bet my house on it, that not one of them thought, this is my moment to, you know, go for broke. No, not at all. Like I said, the one thing I think is get rid of the fact that I call it the pucker factor. When you sit there and you go, okay, I'm winning, I don't want to take a chance because I want to move forward.
Yeah.
The guy got paid the same, then fuck, take a chance. Who cares if you win or lose? Go out there now, just compete and be a fighter, be a warrior. Eliminate the financial factor, because you don't want that guy, because this is what trust me, I've had that conversation. I've been in the locker room and looked over at my wife and she's like, why did you do that? I'm like, I really saw an opening and I went for it. She goes, but you could have just fought conservatively. And, you know, now you just cost the family money because you wanted to be a warrior. I'm like, fuck. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something else, too. If you would like a little equity built up for, you know, if you ever have a string of losses and you find yourself maybe on the chopping block and is the organization going to cut me? I'm not sure. You want a little insurance against that? Be one of these guys that ranks in the top of the performance bonuses. There's a lot of guys who have lost a number of fights that stay with the organization because they look at it and they go, you know what, it doesn't matter, because how many of those losses were fight of the night performances? And a lot of times it will be better to be on the losing end of a fight of the night than it will be to win a fight that nobody remembers. All right. Well, you got one there, Frank?
Yeah, I have one. Here it is. Here's a question for both Richard and Frank.
Who's this from?
This is from Jay Anitra.
Oh, I think I just read one from him. Okay, well, he sent in 2. All right, let's have 2 from him.
I noticed
What does he
that
have?
the Cub Swanson, Artem Labov fight of Jackson Winklejohn fighters are accustomed to.
It's true.
These kicks are frowned upon by many fans and fighters alike. I don't know how many fighters, but fans maybe alike. And the question is that as a oblique kick actually ended a fight and caused a massive leg injury, do you think that they would be outlawed shortly after, or would nothing change?
Okay, I can't off the top of my head think of a situation where a fight has ever ended because of that. There certainly is a risk of hyperextending a knee in
We're
that
talking about
situation.
the side kick, right? The
Yeah,
Kempo
side kick to the-
kick.
yeah.
Yeah, and I'd say just off the top of my head, I think of John Jones as somebody who uses it more often.
He was pretty destructive in his fight with Quentin Jackson.
That's true.
He landed
Yeah.
a couple, and I was there live, and I thought that if he would have landed 1 or 2 more,
Yeah.
Quentin would have called the fight.
Well, let me say this. I mean, Michelle Watterson was doing that all day to Rose Namajunas.
Yeah, they were
Rose
laughing.
Namajunas came back in the second round going, kick me some more. She ends up choking her out, knocking her down, and Rose Namajunas choked her out. So,
Yeah, it may depend on the fighter, too, because like in Rampage Jackson's case, he's not a guy who's going to be checking a lot of leg kicks. So,
Well, and I understand what I think at the heart. I'm assuming what at the heart of this question is that if we have a technique in MMA that causes damage to a fighter, but doesn't necessarily garner a victory, right? Like, for example, the small finger manipulation. Me breaking someone's fingers, we've outlawed now in MMA, right? Said, because we learned from early onset, there was a fight with, Ken Shamrock and Pat Smith, where Pat was in a footlock situation with Ken Shamrock, and Pat Smith literally reached down and started grabbing Ken's toes and was snapping them one by one, right? Now, because Ken wasn't just watching TV in his living room, which probably if you reached down and broke one of his toes would cause him to scream out in pain. Yeah. It's like walking down the, in the middle of the night to the bathroom and you jam your toe against the door. You're pretty pissed off. But during a fight, you have a whole different nervous system operating, right? Your adrenaline's pumping, so you can break as many toes and fingers as you want. It's not going to get the other guy to quit. He's never going to tap to it. Now, afterwards, it's going to cause damage to fighters and cause all kinds of issues where it's like, well, you can't win a fight doing that anyways, and all it's doing is maiming the fighter. So let's just make it illegal. And I'm with that. Yeah. I understand that's why we've made certain techniques illegal, because they're not necessarily winning techniques, like, fish hooking somebody, putting your fingers in someone's mouth and pulling on their cheek.
Right. That's not for MMA. That's for porn.
What's his name? The James Dean guy, right? Didn't he get in trouble for doing that?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Yes, you do. So there, certain techniques that just really don't cause enough damage. They don't knock someone out. They don't put them unconscious. They don't cause any large joint, destruction where it's like, all right, breaking someone's arm is going to, cause them not to be able to continue to fight or really diminish their capability of fighting. So I get what he's asking. He's like, look, this kick is not causing, it's not like it's a winning technique, and we might possibly be blowing guys' legs out. So I guess to the point is that no, so far I haven't read or heard of anybody after the fight going, man, those kicks to my knee, the side kicks, now I have to go get my ACL repaired, or I got a torn MCL. So they're not really, they look a lot worse than what they are, but I think they're a good distancing technique. So I think for what they are, they're not really meant to be a finishing maneuver. It's kind of meant as a distancing, jamming someone as they're coming forward, and then setting up other techniques. So in that idea or in that theme of it, I think the technique should stay legal. I get, again, what he's trying to imply. And if a string of fighters start coming out to where they need knee surgery because of this technique, and you're not showing me that guys are winning the fight because of it, then I say, yeah, then at that point you ban the technique. You're like, all right, look, you ain't winning the fight with it. All you're doing is screwing people's knees up, so let's ban it. That's why, I'm not totally opposed to banning the chipping elbow on the bottom. When you see guys on top, if you come down with a hard elbow, I'm not saying we should get rid of that. That's a winning technique. I've seen people I've won fights that way where I've knocked someone unconscious with an elbow on the mat. But what I don't like is when people push each other on the face and they do this real quick slide and you try to draw your elbow across the guy's forehead to slice his eyebrow open just to get him to bleed, because that could cause the vision and there might be a way to stop the fight.
Right.
That to me is not a real good martial arts technique, because it's not you couldn't do that in a street fight. Like, it doesn't have application to knocking someone out, causing them to be unconscious with a choke, or causing it like a severe damage to where like a kimura, an arm bar, a knee bar, where it's like, okay, if this was a real fight and I hit you with a kimura, even if there was no ref to stop it, or it didn't matter if you tapped, if I destroyed your shoulder and ripped it out of its socket, as the fight continues, the chances of you winning this fight are pretty much out the window. Unless I slip and fall now, you're screwed if you can even garner up the integrity to continue fighting. So I understand what the question's coming from. I think that in that theory that it doesn't cause damage yet. I haven't, unless someone, have you heard differently? Have you heard of anybody having to go and get surgery?
No,
I mean,
I was
Rose
thinking
Namajunas seemed fine, and she
fine.
took a couple.
Yeah. She was 100% fine.
Yeah.
I think it's more, and I don't know if it's changing now that we started to see more of them, but I think it was definitely something that was distracting. I think it was throwing people off their game, certainly early on. You know, like,
well, I mean, I think at first too. I remember when I first saw John do it, I was like, "Oh shit, is that legal?" Because a lot of our stand-up we get from full contact kickboxing, Muay Thai style, K1 style. And in those sports, that's illegal. You cannot kick against the joint like that.
Right.
So then when I first couple times I saw someone do it, I'm like, oh, that's not legal. And they're like, says who? I'm like, oh, shit, we can do that? I mean, and I already had been in the UFC for like 5 or 6 years. I'm like, oh, shit.
I've been doing it this whole time.
I know sidekicks. I have a black belt in Kimpo. What the hell?
Yeah. Here is one from listener Jim. Frank. Jim says, I was just wondering, did you come to Hawaii in the 90s? I think I saw you there.
Is this me or you?
Well, I don't know. Now, if this is pertaining to me, I can tell you absolutely it wasn't me, because Hawaii is one of 3 states I have never been to.
Oh.
I would like to go.
There's only 3 states you haven't been to?
You've been to every state except 3? That's awesome.
I've never been to Hawaii, Alaska, or Maine.
What?
Oh, shit.
You've been to every other one?
Every other one, yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Delaware.
Fun fact for Richard Hunter.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's from the old band days. Played in just about every state. So Alaska and Hawaii are not in the continental United States. So the only continental state that I'm missing is Maine. Yeah.
So we need to do like an appearance in Maine with the
We do. The travel expenses are going to be
Or Alaska.
astronomical. It's not like it's a drive-up market. Yeah, Alaska even more so.
Can't get much more northeast than that, right?
No, we can't. But we would love to do a live show there, Maine listener. You know what? If we have Maine listeners, we need to hear from you. How about that? So the answer for me, Jim, would be no, it wasn't me. And for Frank, I mean, in the 90s, were you still a teenager?
Yeah, I was
90s,
in high school.
Right?
Not 90s.
Yeah. Did you ever
family trips
you go to spring
Hawaii?
break?
No.
For Hawaii? Yeah.
Have yet to be, even as an adult, I've yet to travel to Hawaii.
Okay. Wasn't us. Must have been some other podcasters.
That's kind of a loaded question. I'm kind of wondering, like, what does that mean? Like,
Yeah,
I saw you in Hawaii with me. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Good question.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? No?
Yeah. Thanks for the questions, everybody.
I got one more.
You have one more for us?
Yeah,
What do you have?
This one is from Kevin. That's subject is Frank Mir versus Dana. Maybe I should have read through it before I start talking. My question is for Frank Mir. How is it possible to keep your cool? I know you don't have much of a choice, but still, when you tried to get a release from the UFC, they don't even respond or reply to you after being with the UFC for a decade or more. It would drive me ape shit. Great podcast, guys. Well, thank you. It is upsetting. It's funny. Travis was actually asking me this on the way home, talking about, I mean, can you imagine if, you work for a company for 15 years and, I haven't spoken to anybody in over a year now.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. It's I think it's upsetting, but then also too, it's kind of a realization of where you stand with somebody. Do you know what I mean? I think at first, like it's if you have a close friend and they screw you over, or just any kind of situation where you're like, wow, I thought we were different, and the initial response is you're a little, you're upset about it, and then after a while you're just like, all right, cool, I see the rules of the game. I realize where I stand with you, and I didn't have you in that category, but I'm going to move you over here. I realize now that you are purely a business acquaintance, and anything I thought otherwise, that I was wrong.
I had to come to the same realization with my father at one point. Wasn't easy, but do what you have to do.
You're a business acquaintance.
Yeah.
All
All right. Well, thanks for the questions, guys. Good questions. And if you have a question you would like to hear read on Phone Booth Fighting, you can reach us via our Phone Booth Fighting Facebook page. Send in your questions, thoughts, comments, and observations, and Frank and I will likely incorporate them into a future episode. Let's get into some news, Frank, after we tell everybody about what is happening at phoneboothfighting.com. And I specifically want to update everybody on official show merchandise. Now, if you've been asking yourself, why does Angelo look so handsome tonight on camera? It's because he's wearing his official Phone Booth Fighting retro fight pose T-shirt, the one where Frank and I posed in the old what do they call it?
John L. Sullivan boxing.
Yeah, the John L. Sullivan pose, the Marquis of Queensberry rules or whatever that was.
The classic one still is this one, though. I wore that one 2 episodes ago in the show.
Yeah.
And a quick story for you, too.
That's our feast. Point to our Phone Booth Fighting logo.
That's the main one. So
I just realized?
What's that?
I'm missing a leg.
Oh, well, it's right there.
It's kind of behind.
For some reason, you're standing on one leg. It's like you're sticking your knee up my ass.
I have a feeling I know where my leg is.
Those aren't pillows.
But no, I was wearing, so after that episode,
yes.
I was wearing it, went to Costco, went to get the gas. The guy goes, oh, wow, Phone Booth Fighting. I love that podcast.
Oh, all right.
And I was like, oh, that's awesome. You listen to it. Huh? He goes, yeah, man, I love Frank Mir and Richard Hunter.
Man.
I'm just saying. That was cool. I was wearing a shirt, and he was like, that's so cool.
Good to hear. Well, thank you for representing. So here's the deal. If you go to phoneboothfighting.com, right now in the store, all of the official merchandise is available, the T-shirts, the autograph posters. The T-shirt that Angelo has on right now, the old retro fight pose shirt, those are on sale right now, $19.95, and the thing is, when they're gone, they're gone. So we are down to our last run of those. They are available, I think, right now still in all sizes, but that's not going to last very long, so you can get them at a discount right now. We're clearing those out, and again, it's your last chance to get those. On the cartoon logo T-shirt, that Frank was just referencing. These are actually there's a couple things. One, we're getting them in black, so we're going to do a run for black. If you like me and you love Johnny Cash, then you've probably been asking yourself, why isn't that available in black? Well, it's about to be. Okay. You see me wearing that. Here's the bigger news. Ladies, the ladies' shirts are coming. We have gotten requests for these. I've had some female Phone Booth Fighting listeners, Frank, that have been on me for the better part of a year now. Why don't you have the fashionable women's cut shirts? And we're getting them. So there's going to be a run of those just in time for summer. Should be up at phoneboothfighting.com as soon as they arrive from our printer, and it should just be in the next week or so. There's going to be women's cut T-shirts. They're going to come in small, medium, large, so variety of sizes. And ladies, it's your chance, or guys, your chance to get that Phone Booth Fighting T-shirt for the lady in your life. You want Listen, you want to impress her. That's the way to do it. All right. So that's at phoneboothfighting.com inside the store. You can also click on the Amazon and Patreon banners. And for more on that, here's Frank. Amazon and Patreon banners at phoneboothfighting.com. Why would I click on them?
You caught me in jiu-jitsu land.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you do any of your online shopping through Amazon specifically, all you have to do is click through our banner, and by doing so, your shopping is normal, your prices are the same, but now a small percentage of your purchases that you spend will go back to help us here at the show, which, as you see, we're using to only improve the quality of our production.
That's right. All the new bells and whistles that you're seeing are just reinvestments in the show, and that's how we're doing it through your support at phoneboothfighting.com, clicking through our Amazon banner, and then also our Patreon banner, Frank, for as little as $1 a month, premium content available. Things like...
Well, I think one thing we keep talking about, behind the scenes type of situations, anything extra that, obviously we're not going to ever take away from the main quality of our show, but
that stays free.
That stays free. But any other bonuses and whatnot we can put out there, that little extras that, if we go out of our way, then you go out of your way, and you can be able to acquire. So
I'll give you an example. Right now, probably the most attractive thing up there is the live stage show that we did with Chael Sonnen and his co-host Joel from the You're Welcome podcast. Suspended in Las Vegas from a couple of months ago. The entire live show, you heard the audio, but the video is available nowhere else except through our Patreon link at phoneboothfighting.com. You see it for $1, and you see combat jiu-jitsu. You see Frank try to choke me out before I can name the tune that the DJ plays. You get to see Mrs. Mirror. She made an on-stage appearance, looking lovely as ever. That's on there. Our video inside Billy Bob Thornton's hotel room, the interview we did with him, that's there. Also, the interview we did inside the dressing room of Ralphie May. That's the only place you can see or hear that right now. And all that's at patreon.com /phoneboothfighting. Just go to phoneboothfighting.com, click on the Patreon banner, and we're going to continue to populate that with exclusive content, extra stuff, supplemental content each month to make it certainly worth the price of $1. And we're going to come up with some other things to add on there as well as we grow it. All right, let's turn our attention to the news here, Frank. Something really horrific happened a couple nights ago, and I inadvertently had a couple of personal associations with it.
It's crazy.
Up here on our screen inside the Phone Booth Fighting bunker right now, this still shot, the guy on the left is Colonel Bruce Hampton. He is sort of known as the grandfather of jam bands. When I say jam bands, you ever heard of bands like, you heard of the Grateful Dead, but newer bands like Widespread Panic or Fish. Blues Traveler has fallen into that category. Jam bands are bands that they improvise, they get up. They're usually very proficient musicians. They play long songs, and their fans are kind of hippie-ish, and they follow them around the country and stuff like that. Well, that guy on the left, Colonel Bruce Hampton, actually I've played with a number of times before back in the old band days. He was a part of a tour called the Horde Tour that we played some shows on, and Blues Traveler headline back in the day. Anyway, he is a guy that in that scene everybody's known for a million years. 2 nights ago, it was his 70th birthday party in Atlanta, Georgia. He was the guest of honor at a concert, an all-star concert. You see John Popper there from Blues Traveler playing harmonica on stage with him. Warren Haynes from the Allman Brothers is on guitar. Billy Bob Thornton is on stage with him. Now, he's out of camera shot here. I thought I just knew one person that was on stage when this horrific thing happened. Turned out I realized Billy Bob was up there. I actually knew 2 people that saw, and this is the terrible part, saw a guy drop dead right in front of him. Right in the middle of the song, Colonel Bruce Hampton at his 70th birthday party just kicks it. And here's the video. This is actual footage shot of what happened. Go ahead and play that, Travis. There's John on harmonica, and there he goes. And John, I talked to, and I talked to Billy Bob. I talked to JD, his guitar player, and Billy Bob was just devastated by this too. But John told me that the reason they kept playing was they thought it was part of the show. They thought he was just, John's words were they thought he was hamming it up. Hey, it's my 70th birthday party, the old James Brown bit of I'm too exhausted to play anymore or whatever. And just died right in front of him, and they kept playing for a little bit before they realized what happened. And the way John put it to me, he said, he's like, it never occurred to me that we'd be leaving him there. He said it was like going to a surprise funeral. You know, you think you're attending somebody's birthday party and they die. So how about that? Yeah, happened right there on stage, and of course, in this day and age, somebody's got it on video.
Okay.
All right.
Did anybody get celebrity points?
No, I don't think anybody would have seen him coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Would have been some good bonuses.
A lot of them, especially if it was on his actual birthday. A big loss there. He was a cool guy too. He was a real kind of quirky guy that everybody knew and loved. He also had a small part in Sling Blade.
Oh, really?
Billy Bob's movie. Yeah, I think he might have played one of the mental patients or something like that. Trying to remember what role he played, but yeah, he was actually in there. All right. Keeping with this uplifting theme, Jimmy Kimmel on his show the other night had, a monologue. We're going to listen to a little bit. I don't know if we'll listen to the whole thing because it's kind of long, but if you haven't heard about this yet, Jimmy Kimmel had a son. And the son was born with a heart condition, and something that Angelo knows a thing about. Now,
yeah, I got when I saw it. We didn't, he's a Vegas guy. A lot of
that's
respect.
right. Jimmy Kimmel is from Vegas.
Lots of respect
for
him. But when I was watching it, brother and my sister, they're like, "Man, it's heartbreaking," because when you see his actual emotion, guys, like if you watch this. He's telling you the story, but I can tell he's fresh out of the hospital.
Yeah.
So he's really conveying it to you.
Yeah.
He's really like letting you know. Like when he was saying it, I was like, "Yep, I know exactly where you're at right
now." Because we have to explain. Your son Joseph was born with.
So Joseph has a congenital heart disease. He only has the left ventricle. He doesn't have a right ventricle.
Yeah.
And we knew about it. So going into the birth process and everything, we knew. But the horrors that do show up.
Yeah.
As soon as your child is born, you can tell. Like Jimmy, he did not expect it. He didn't expect it to go the way it was going. And thankfully, I mean, again, he goes on and he thanks the doctors, the surgeons, the nurses, and he goes on and talks about how each part and each individual person at that hospital did so much for, his son to do well and is continuing on. But it's a good thing to watch, guys, because if you haven't appreciated nurses, I can tell you right now, from me, my own personal experience, those nurses, the many of them that go through their shifts, lots of times, man, they're over. I wish there was more. I wish there was more money for them so that there would be more nurses, because some of the nurses that would handle it, they're handling several patients all at once, and that's their shift. And he really just talks. Well,
let's listen to at least a little bit of it here, and you get the idea if you haven't heard it yet. This is from Jimmy Kimmel's monologue on a show a couple of nights ago. The big surprise to the audience. I don't think anybody realized he had been going through this last few days.
I have a story to tell about something that happened to our family last week. I'm sorry, I try not to get emotional, but it was a scary story. And before I go into it, I want you to know it has a happy ending, okay? So when I'm telling this, don't get too upset. Leave that to me. But a little over a week ago on Friday, April 21st, my wife, Molly, gave birth to a boy, a baby boy. His name is William Johnston. Thank you very much. We call him Billy. It was an easy delivery, 6 pushes, he was out, and he appeared to be a normal, healthy baby until about 3 hours after he was born. We were out of the delivery room. We moved to the recovery room. Our whole family was there, and we introduced him to his 2.5-year-old sister. She was cute with him. We were happy. Everything was good. My wife was in bed relaxing, and when a very attentive nurse at Cedars-Sinai Hospital, her name is Nanush, was checking him out and heard a murmur in his heart, which is common with newborn babies, but she also noticed he was a bit purple, which is not common. So she asked me to come with her, and my wife and I assumed it would be nothing. Our daughter had a heart murmur too, and we didn't notice that he wasn't the color he was supposed to be. So I accompanied Billy and the nurse, went down the hall to another part of the hospital, the neonatal ICU, where another excellent nurse named Ann checked him out and called the doctor in. And now all of a sudden it felt serious. And the room started to fill up. More doctors and nurses and equipment started coming in. And they determined he wasn't getting enough oxygen into his blood, which, as far as I understand, or understood at the time, was most likely one of two things, either his heart or his lungs. And you hope it's the lungs because sometimes they have fluid in them after delivery, and it's potentially a minor thing. But they did an x-ray, and his lungs were fine, which meant his heart wasn't. So now more doctors and nurses and equipment come in, and it's a terrifying thing. My wife is back in the recovery room. She has no idea what's going on. And I'm standing in the middle of a lot of very worried-looking people, kind of like right now, who are trying to figure out what the problem is. And it's Friday night, and so they call a pediatric cardiologist, Dr. Eben Zahn, who, when they called him, was picking his mother up from the airport. Luckily, her plane was not delayed because he got to the hospital very quickly. They did an echocardiogram, which is a sonogram of the heart, and found that Billy was born with a heart disease, something called tetralogy of Fallot with pulmonary atresia. It's hard to explain. Basically, the pulmonary valve was completely blocked, and he has a hole in the wall between the left and right sides of his heart. And then they brought my wife in, and they wheeled her in, and Dr. Zahn told her what was going on and what our options were. And we decided to take him to Children's Hospital, where there's a world-renowned cardiac surgeon who is, by all accounts, a genius. His name is Dr. Von Starnes. So we put the baby in an ambulance to Children's Hospital, Los Angeles, and on Monday morning, Dr. Starnes opened his chest and fixed one of the two defects in his heart. He went in there with a scalpel and did some kind of magic that I couldn't even begin to explain. He opened the valve, and the operation was a success. It was the longest 3 hours of my life. They didn't do everything. He'll have to have another open heart surgery in 3 to 6 months to close those holes, but they want to wait until he's bigger, and then he'll have a third, hopefully non-invasive procedure sometime maybe in his early teens to replace the valve he has now. So this poor kid, this is what he looked like on Monday. But this is what he looked like yesterday. Poor kid, not only did he get a bad heart, he got my face. 6 days after open heart surgery, we got to bring him home, which is amazing. He's doing great. He's eating. He's sleeping. He peed on his mother today while she was changing his diaper. He's doing all the things that he's supposed to do. And our daughter, well, here's a picture of my wife and me and Billy and our daughter, Jane. And you can see Jane's pretty excited about having a You know, it's funny.
Girl has kind of a frown expression on her face. Go ahead and pause it here, Travis. And so you can see, obviously, he's very, very emotional about this. Now, he goes on. This is a very long clip. We won't play the whole thing, and hopefully a lot of people have heard this or can go watch it for themselves. But toward the end of the clip, Frank, you've heard this.
No.
You have not heard? Oh, I'm sorry.
Frank, you should.
Okay, sorry. Go back. We're going to keep playing it. Sorry.
Okay.
No. It says there's not that much longer. Go ahead and cue it back up again, Travis. And we'll let Frank hear the rest of it. You do need to hear it for the discussion. It's not that much longer. Go ahead and play it.
Sibling and tell her it's from the baby, as if we gave birth to the Easter Bunny or something. It makes no sense, but that's what they tell you to do. So we brought Jane these Shopkins, which, do you know what these are? They're like tiny little cupcakes and donuts with faces on them. And we said, Billy bought these for you. And she believed it. She's not too bright, but I mean, he doesn't even have money. He doesn't he have money? He doesn't have a place to put money. He has no wallet. How would he buy these for her? As far as she knows, the baby is signed up for Amazon Prime, but
hopefully clicking through the phoneboothfighting.com banner.
This is the best. It's me in a coma. And I have a list of people I want to thank for making that happen. And I hope I have my list. These are just some of the people who played a part in this. It was an enormous team effort, it really was. At Cedars-Sinai Hospital, first of all, I want to thank Nanush Shakurnia, the nurse, who was the first to notice the problem. If it was a girl, we would have named her Nanouche. We really would. And the other nurses at Cedars, Desiree, Lori, Ashley, Teresa, Susan, Alexis. The head nurse in intensive care, Ann DeMayo, who's great. Nurse Joan Bacall, who was at his side the whole time. Dr. Evan Zahn, and also his mother, who probably didn't get her luggage because he picked her up at the airport. Dr. Scott Cohen, Dr. Stacy Rosenbaum, Dr. Tim Cazares, all for being so great. And the truly awe-inspiring team at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, led by Dr. Vaughn Starnes, who saved so many lives. This man has saved thousands of lives and turned so much sorrow into happiness. I'll never be able to thank him for... So I won't even try, is what I'm saying. And all the great doctors at CHLA, Dr. Sylvia Del Castillo, Dr. Erin Barbanel, Barbara Gross, who runs the Heart Institute, and our unbelievably kind and caring nurses, especially Krista Callan and Carrie Dubbin. But they were also excellent. Elise, Janet, Josie, Rhea, thanks to Donald Seebeck, our respiratory therapist who kept Billy breathing the whole time. This is someplace, Children's Hospital Los Angeles. I hope you never have to go there, but if you do, you'll see so many kids from so many financial backgrounds being cared for so well and with so much compassion. I've been supporting Children's Hospital for years. I had no idea we'd ever wind up there. And if you'd like to support the work they do, the information is there at the bottom of your screen. Please do. We were on the Costco floor, which I consider to be a good omen because it's my favorite store. Costco sponsors the second floor, which is great. And thanks to all the companies who support Children's Hospital, including my company, Disney ABC, which supports them financially. I want to thank everyone here at ABC who were exceptionally kind and patient with me, letting me stay out of work last week. Ben Sherwood, Channing Dungey, Rob Mills, Mitch Cole, Jana Wintergrade, Kerry Kennedy, Bob and Willow Iger. Especially thanks to everyone here at the show, all my coworkers who sent a box of cards that it meant a lot to my wife. I didn't read them, but it meant a lot to her. Thanks to my work family. I want to thank my work family and my actual family, starting with my cousin, Dr. Denise Hayes, who happens to be a pediatric cardiologist in New York. There's one smart person in our family, and she counseled us. She explained everything to everyone in our family over and over again, so I didn't have to. Thank you, Denise. And special extra thanks to my mom and dad and my mother-in-law, Mickey, my kids, Katie and Kevin, my cousins, my sister, my brother, my sisters-in-law, my brothers-in-law. They all really came through in so many ways, as did my friends. Every one of my friends were there 100% of the time for us. And we had atheists praying for us. Okay? We had people who did not believe in God praying to him. And I hate to even say it. Even that son of a bitch, Matt Damon, sent for me.
So here's the interesting turn that it takes.
I want to say also thanks to Guillermo for all the sweet texts and emails. I could barely read any of them, but it was the thought that really counted. And Cleto, I have to say, Cleto Sr., Cleto's mom, Sylvia, Cleto Sr.'s wife, Sylvia, who's like a second mother to me, never has any human being ever texted more praying hands emojis to another human being than Cleto's mom did to me. I had to upgrade my phone just to handle it. So thank you, Sylvia. And most of all, I would thank my wife, Molly, first of all, for allowing me to have sex with her in the first place. That was huge right there. And so few have done that. Also for being so strong and level-headed and positive and loving during the worst nightmare a new mother could experience. I couldn't ask for a better partner. I'm so happy we had this baby together. I'm definitely getting a vasectomy after this. And I want to say one other thing. President Trump last month proposed a $6 billion cut in funding to the National Institute of Health. And thank God our congressman made a deal last night to not go along with that. They actually increased funding by $2 billion. And I applaud them for doing that. Because more than 40% of the people who would have been affected by
pause
this
it for a second there, Travis.
What was the turn?
Well, it's here.
Starts talking about
You're
Trump.
starting to hear it.
He's talking about Trump.
This is
Trying
going to
pull
factor
away.
into.
Okay,
He's not
so
changing
Trump-
the subject.
Yeah, he's talking about the subject of what he just went through.
Yeah, it'll make
Okay,
sense
I'm
when
like,
you hear
I mean,
the end of
he's-
it. Yeah,
Now he's kind of coming out of a very serious.
right. But it's still within. You'll understand. It's still within the context of his topic.
Okay,
yeah, he's
okay.
not. Yeah, go ahead.
due to health are children, and it would have a major impact on a lot of great places, including Children's Hospital in Los Angeles, which is so unbelievably sad to me. We were brought up to believe that we live in the greatest country in the world, but until a few years ago, millions and millions of us had no access to health insurance at all. You know, before 2014, if you were born with congenital heart disease like my son was, there was a good chance you'd never be able to get health insurance because you had a pre-existing condition. You were born with a pre-existing condition. And if your parents didn't have medical insurance, you might not live long enough to even get denied because of a pre-existing condition. If your baby is going to die, and it doesn't have to, it shouldn't matter how much money you make. I think that's something that, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or something else, we all agree on that, right? I mean, we do. We need to make sure that the people who are supposed to represent us, the people who are meeting about this right now in Washington, understand that very clearly. Let's stop with the nonsense. This isn't football. There are no teams. We are the team. It's the United States. Don't let their partisan squabbles divide us on something every decent person wants. We need to take care of each other. I saw a lot of families there, and no parent should ever have to decide if they can afford to save their child's life. It just shouldn't happen. Not here. So, anyway, thank you for listening. I promise I'm not going to cry for the rest of the show. Please say a prayer for or send positive thoughts to the families with children who are still in the hospital now because they need it. And thanks. We have a special show tonight. We'll be right back with Dr. Ross.
So very heavy.
Yeah.
Very, very heavy. So
like I was saying, that's how.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fresh out of the hospital.
yeah.
That's
So-
every emotion that he had, Frank. It's exactly. I mean, it's actually, Richard, it's very brave. Like if you ever get Jimmy Kimmel,
Yeah.
on phone booth fighting, I know we're gonna reach out to him just to extend. I know exactly what he's going through and what he saw.
Yeah.
What you see in the hospital when I mean, it was brave for him to even do that monologue and now break down in tears because when you're in a room and like for Joseph, for a good number of weeks, we were the parents that they were going to look at and go, I'm really sorry your son didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
When you're bed one, so this is when you're in the ICU, and he's talking about that, the neonatal unit ICU. It goes in order of who's the one most likely to not make it.
Wow.
And
really?
it's I mean, they don't tell it to you that way, but it's like you can tell the importance. Like, okay, see bed 15 over there? That person's almost out.
Yeah.
Bed 1 is every second, man. Every second it's like, I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm sure for him in that moment, especially when they all of a sudden start finding out, oh man, something's wrong. And all those doctors start coming. He was bed 1 and he was feeling all of it, all of the shock, all of the, how other parents are there with you. And again, they have their kids too, so what he's talking about is totally true. And if you ever get a chance, I wouldn't wish it on you, Frank, for you to ever be on that or anybody. But if you guys just want to go support and just even go see how these nurses, some of these kids, I remember at Oakland's Children's Hospital, they didn't even have their mom or dad there because the mom or dad had to work. So it was the nurse that was conveying it all. Man.
So so here's where the debate comes into play. You're Jimmy Kimmel say right there at the end. His position is that no parent should ever have to decide whether or not they can afford to save their child's life based on how much money they make. And what we're talking about here specifically, and he referenced it, is the pre-existing condition exclusion that insurance companies until very recently engaged in. And it is indisputable that this is something that Obamacare eliminated. When they eliminated it, it was a wildly popular move. The opposition party said, oh, we were going to do that. We just hadn't gotten around to it yet. But it's not even like they were saying it was a bad idea. And, of course, now that they want to repeal Obamacare, the reason it got shot down the first time is because it would put that principle in jeopardy. And even with the one that's being proposed now, it gives states the option to significantly manipulate it in terms of being able to sort of bring that back into play in the interest of saving money. So here's the question: do we as a society agree with that? Do we think that however much it costs, that we should have this sort of minimum standard of, well, we're not going to look at somebody who is in that type of situation and say, now I'm, of course, I'm in the position that we should not do that. I'm in the position or the mindset that we have a minimum standard. We say, well, everybody is going to be guaranteed at least this level of care. But that's me. What do you think, Frank?
It's a rough one.
It's not going to be free. I mean, it's going to cost a lot.
Well, I mean, I guess I also go to, how do other countries like Brazil or Canada, how do they deal with the situation?
Well, it depends on the country you're talking about. A lot of countries don't have what we have in the sense that they guarantee some form of health care for all. That's the real dichotomy of this greatest country in the world. I mean, it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with the whole, strongman thing, and whether or not we give them our attention or our approval. I mean, we are the supposed to be that shining star. And so, but when it comes to things like this, there are other countries who make things available that we don't necessarily make available for people. And I think that's something that we can do better on. I
agree. Well, the one thing I think that we make a mistake at is I have looked at it a little bit, and I think that the biggest problem we have with our healthcare system is that we have the only healthcare system in the world that is for profit.
Yes.
If you look at for every dollar that we spend on healthcare, it's a very small percentage that actually goes to the doctors. If you go
a lot of administration,
it's a lot of administration fees, and I think that's what has to be removed. Because if you go somewhere like Japan, I was reading through their stats, just a simple search on the internet, and it was saying somewhere up to 98% of the money that you spend there goes to the actual medical professionals.
Yeah, which
only makes sense that's where the money should go. Why does it go to some insurance agent that, or some guy at the front office who's doing the paperwork or processing or making decisions? Why at all do we even have buildings with people in it that do any of that? It should just be the doctors, nurses, anesthesiologists. Like, obviously there has to be, I guess, some type of, paperwork on the business end, but not to the point where we have it now. I think that's the issue. And because that costs so much, that, and I understand where people get angry. You go there and you go, well, I'm healthy. Why do I have to pay so much money for, and we see that. And I understand, because that's very personal to you, because you can see on a monthly basis that you're having to make decisions based off the fact that you're a healthy person paying a lot of money, and that's frustrating. But I think we can remove that by just, it comes out of the taxes, it's single payer, it comes from the government, and everybody has health care. I mean, the same reason why I don't have to pay for a police officer to come to my front door.
Yes.
Now, if I want a bodyguard, I can pay for a bodyguard.
Yeah.
Right?
And you know what? You'll have better individualized security.
Right.
You don't have to do the group class at jiu-jitsu. You can pay for the private instructor.
Yeah, so my financial advantages that I have in life,
yes,
it doesn't put me at a discrepancy. I think that state-funded doctors, being paid through the government, it makes sense to me if you just eliminate the fact that, honestly, we just have to get rid of insurance agencies.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, they're the evil bastards in this whole equation. Like, why are insurance agencies rich? If we just get rid of them and just have it towards like, all right, well, a certain percentage of our tax money goes to the medical profession and goes to the actual people that are performing surgeries, that are curing diseases, that are preventing diseases, that are mending the broken bones. Like, hospitals, that's where it needs to go.
Here's my standard. If you work hard and if you play by the rules, you should be okay in this country. Doesn't mean you're going to get rich. Doesn't mean you're ever going to live in a mansion, but you should expect a basic level of being okay. What you certainly should not expect to have to encounter is, by luck of the draw, if someone in your family gets ill, you could go bankrupt. That shouldn't, to me, that shouldn't happen in America even any more than somebody should be able to starve in the richest country in the world. And listen, even if you don't care about those people, let's just say you see that and you're like, it sucks to be you. It still affects society because everybody isn't Jimmy Kimmel's kid, okay? This kind of thing, when this affects like the run-of-the-mill type person, this affects poverty levels, which leads to crime levels, which leads to disease levels. I mean, there's a whole domino effect of this. So by elevating everybody to just a basic standard of living, it ensures that you, no matter how wealthy you are going to be afforded a certain layer of societal protection. Now, believe
the UK does that. I mean, if you get sick in London, if you get sick, you can go and get health
A
care.
basic level.
There's a basic level.
Yeah.
Now, if I blow out my knee, they will mend me. Now, if I want to get the newest surgery and have a new ACL replacement, something high speed on the cutting edge, I got to pay for it. Now I have to step outside the boundaries. And now if I'm well off and I've made well and and successful, well, then I get to take advantage of that. But I don't think people should be punished because a average Joe, blue collar kind of guy can't afford some of these things that go out there. And I think that would be an atrocity, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, to sit there and realize that you have to be wealthy to make sure that your children don't die. Right. That's pretty spooky.
Right. Believe it or not, there were a few people who were critical of Jimmy Kimmel's statement.
The fuck up.
Wow.
Joe Walsh, who is a former Republican congressman, he was a congressman until pretty recently. He was one of the Tea Party movement, got ushered into Congress through that a couple of years ago, tweeted the following. He said, "Sorry, Jimmy Kimmel, your sad story does not obligate me to pay for someone else's health care." Now, just to put the picture in the frame, this is a guy who, part of the reason he's not in Congress anymore, owed $117,000 in back child support. So he wasn't even taking care of his own
But we
kids.
do pay. We pay nowadays. That's the part. I mean, look, I hate paying taxes more than my share than anybody else, and I'm all about tax reform. I'm into having a flat tax. I don't think I should have to pay anything more than somebody else because I'm successful. That really kind of pisses me off. Get me on sales tax. Every time I go buy something, I'll pay taxes on it, because I'm acquiring more shit. But I don't like to be punished because I'm making more money than somebody else. That does drive me nuts. It's like, why do I'm using the street just as much as my neighbor, but I'm paying 4 times as much because I make 4 times as much.
But with your police analogy, the police department is socialism, and it's effective socialism. I mean, you made a great case for it.
Yeah, but my neighbor's they're not going to show up to my house any faster.
No.
They're not going to go, well, oh shit, Mir paid how much in taxes last year? Right. Well, he had a bump in the night and he called our help. The other neighbor says that there's somebody in his backyard. Fuck that guy. He only made $65,000 last year.
And imagine how chaotic society would be if they did go by that criteria. Now, what I was going to say, and I think this was the point you were alluding to, is that being in the highest tax bracket, which you're in, throwing the definition of throwing good money after bad is the emergency room, where people without insurance treat it like a primary care physician. You end up paying more than I do
have
for that.
seen-
We both end up paying way more money than we should for it, but you pay the most. So to me, the wealthiest people should be the people who are the most in favor of something like single payer.
I have seen the stats showing that if people have insurance or a single payer, because then they go and do checkups. They have preventative health care.
You don't wait.
Which shows so much less money. Now a person goes and gets on Crestor, and I'm not having to pay for a guy who just has a massive heart attack, and now he's on life support for 2 weeks. You know, I mean, I get it.
Until we decide we're going to euthanize our weak, and there may be some who are in favor of that, but we have not gone to that up to this point. Until we do that, then there is no other option. That's the only argument you can make to me where I'll go, okay, well, that is a cheaper way to do it. But clearly, we're not going to do that. Not yet, anyway. And so, if we're not going to, then we've got to come up with a reasonable way to approach it. And that is the way to get that paid for. You know, there was a conservative columnist in the New York Post that said this about Jimmy Kimmel, and this was their criticism. They said, "Oh, so easy for someone to say who's a gazillionaire from Hollywood." And I thought to myself, "No, dummy." That actually is the person that it's hard for them to say, because he will pay more for this. It's easy for me to say it. If it's easier for anybody to say, it's easier for me to say it, because less of my tax dollars will go to it than yours. So it's harder for you to say what you just said than it is for me to say what I just said. But the point is that both of us are saying the same thing.
I would be lying to you right now if I told you that I can go to the store at the first of the month, and if I see someone with an EBT card, I don't check them out. I start looking at you going, well, what the fuck's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, you look like a healthy guy. You can't work. Like, what's going on? Like,
okay, and then, so let me ask you this, and so what if you found out that person says, well, the problem was it wasn't me, it was my family member who got sick, and my whole family went bankrupt trying to save my kid's life, and that and under what we're talking about, that could happen.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
well, I think your question, no, I mean it makes sense to ask it, but wouldn't you like? I mean, if nothing else, if you like to be right, I do, and I know you do too. How about just for that we can eliminate that option? How about we get to look down on somebody?
That's the part I don't understand when people talk about that it's socialism. I'm like, wait a minute. The fire department shows up, the police department shows up. You know, I mean, the streets are taken care of. I mean, this comes out of taxpayer money.
All socialism.
I don't understand why we just don't eliminate health care as far as private insurances. You can still have them, but have them be for the rich, the people that are well off. Like somebody like myself can go, I would like to have insurance. I don't want to have just what the state funded or federal funded single payer insurance provides, because I realize that I have people that I know that live in Canada, and when they get hurt, there's a long ass line because guess what? There's only so many doctors and there's so many sick people. I want to skip the line.
You want to upgrade. You
want to go to
the champagne
I think that
room.
the fact that I make more money should benefit me. The fact that I get to benefit. I should benefit from my success. But I don't think somebody else who's mediocre should be punished. On the flip side, I don't sit there and go, well, screw this guy. You know what I mean? Well, I'm sorry that you decided just to be a mechanic and change oil. You know, screw you. Like, I don't agree with that. But I do understand where there is anger that should be acknowledged, is that when I go down and I see a young, healthy, strong guy, and I'm looking at him going, really, dude? Like, you're on welfare?
Well, and how about the fact that if you don't follow your logic, then it doesn't matter how much money you make and how well off you are. The person who doesn't have that and who is in dire straits, it could affect you in terms of crime, or their sick kid can breathe on your healthy kid, and it's not like the disease knows to stay away from your kid because you're captain responsibility. It'll make your kid sick just like anybody else. But to your point, and this is
the only way that, I mean, sorry, just because the only way that some of the people that are really crazy about, screw you, it's not my problem. I'm like, but it is your problem. Unless we go ahead and do the purge. If we start living by the purge,
that's what I'm talking
which
about.
I'm okay. I mean, hey, you know what? I'm a pretty strong, well-strapped, armed individual. If we could just start fucking killing people, then maybe I'll start going with that thought process. But the fact of the matter is, we can't.
Yes.
I'm just saying I have to live with these people anyways, so might as well provide a certain level of health care. As far as whether they can go to the store and buy certain food, no, man. I mean, I think this is, I would reform certain things and make life a little bit miserable for you. It's like, oh, you're on welfare, you get rice and a protein.
Okay.
Deal with it.
Have you ever noticed, and this is the greatest free market example, have you ever noticed how whenever a new Walmart opens up, Neiman Marcus doesn't sweat it? Why is that? Why aren't they worried about that? It's because it's two different levels of product. And I think that's what we're talking about. There will always be that.
I agree. Yeah, I understand. But yeah, so when that guy, what's his name? The asshole?
Joe Walsh, not to be confused with the Eagles guitarist, Joe Walsh. Yeah, former congressman.
To sit there and go, well, boo-hoo, I don't want to pay for your kid. It's like, holy shit, are you a fucking asshole?
Right.
Like, that's someone's child.
Right.
Yeah.
I get, come on. I mean, but again, that kind of like, well, everybody's on their own. It's like, but we're not. And you're the first bitch probably to fucking get scared if you hear a bump in the middle of the night and fucking call the cops. Like, there's a couple fucking dudes scoping out my fucking driveway. You know what I mean? Like, wait a minute. How come that's not my problem? I don't need to pay those fucking police to come help your ass.
Yeah.
Why don't you fucking grow a pair of balls and get a gun and you deal with it on your own? But no, because as human beings, we do need help from each other at times. We just don't want to drag dead weight. And I wish people could be in the fucking middle. Like, that's the part where I keep telling people, like, look, I'm not left, I'm not right. I'm in the middle. I don't think we should fucking destroy our week and just screw everybody because you're in the back of the pack because you're slow, because you're weak. If you're hobbled, I'll help you. But if you're a slow-ass motherfucker because you're lazy, then fuck off. You know what I mean? Like, then I'm going to have a problem with you. Like, that's a difference between lazy and there's a difference between somebody who needs our help, and as a society we help them.
Right.
And how about the fact that we're taking this stand against terrorism and tyranny and all the rest of that in the world? One of the things that separates us from them, I know we like to focus on our massive military and all the rest of that, but it's also a communal standard of compassion. Because who doesn't have it? Those kind of third world villages. That's what makes them so extreme to begin with, is they've got no hope. They've got no, this whole concept would seem very foreign to them, what we're talking about. So to me...
And our poor are pretty well taken care of. That's actually, I mean, on that note, I never give out cash on the street if I see a beggar or someone, because I have enough friends that work for the city and for the state that we have plenty of resources for them to have a meal, have somewhere to sleep. I think we can do more for healthcare. I do agree that identifying some health issues would be beneficial, but that goes back to our whole fucking mental health. And now that I travel the world, I've seen some shitty places where I'm like, no, man, we don't know poverty. I've been some places where I look over and go, holy shit, this is bad. Like, I'm like, oh man, this is something out of a movie.
But again, though, we have to decide as Americans, are we going to settle for being, because we will always be able to say, well, we're better than this country over here, but that's not really our standard. Our standard is to say we're the best.
Yeah.
Not we're better than this one or that one. We're the best. And if we find a place that we're not the best, we should aspire to be the best. That's my thought. We have done an incredibly well-rounded show and a very long one, but let me tell you, this one I think this is a shining example of the evolution of phone booth fighting in 2017.
Are we going to end on a brothel story?
Would you like to do that?
I think we need to end on a lighter note, man.
Okay, I was actually going to...
Now we're going to get a bunch of fucking hate now.
Yeah, Joe Walsh just unsubscribed to the podcast for us ragging on him. All right, well, I'll close out on it. Yeah, my brothel actually made the local news. I don't know if you saw it in the Review Journal. Did you see this, Travis? Travis always knows. Grab your microphone there for a second, Travis. It's interesting. I don't know what Travis does all day when he's supposed to be operating the heavy machinery, building the highways and byways. But you are, Travis. Of all my friends, you seem to be the quickest to get tipped off to breaking brothel news.
Trolling Facebook.
Is it some supervising sort of Google alert or something that comes up? Well, what happened today was, so one of our brothels is the Alien Cat House, right? The sci-fi themed legal brothel right next to Area 51, the secret government installation out here in the Nevada desert.
I didn't even know that existed.
Of course you didn't. Okay. We'll continue that cover for you. So, it was all over the news today that the county commissioners are investigating the brothel for alleged code violations. Now, I can tell you the inside story. February, and this could happen at any time. So at any point, the sheriff can come in, surprise inspection, say, I need to see the sheriff's cards for the ladies, and I need to see the medical clearances. This happened in February in Nye County there. The sheriff came in. And so where it got confusing is the Alien Cat House is licensed for 5 girls. Some brothels are licensed for dozens and dozens. It depends on, and the more you're licensed for, the more expensive your license is, right? There are, for example, some brothels you've never heard of in little single-wide trailers out in the middle of Nevada that you do not want to go in, by the way. There's nothing in there you would be interested in. They are regulated, just nothing you'd be interested in. But, they may only have 1 or 2 girls, okay? So 5 is one of the smaller houses, but that particular one we're licensed for 5. So he comes in. There's 5 girls working. The sheriff's deputy has to go through all the rooms because there's other things that they have to make sure of, like that there's running water in each room. Like that's one of the codes. They each have access to plumbing, I guess, and sheets on the bed. That's another one. I mean, basic living conditions that they're supposed to be provided. So, he's checking off on all these things. But the point is, he went through every room. So it's not like there was any room he didn't see where other girls could possibly be. Our cashier handed him 5 licenses. These are the 5 girls that are in the house. He had them all come out to the parlor area. He's matching faces with the licenses. Okay, that's you. Okay, that's you. Somehow, a complaint is issued where he alleges that there were 12 girls in the house, and that one of them, there were 12 girls, which would have exceeded the limit by 7, and that one of them had an expired medical clearance. And none of us know exactly how they got to this conclusion, because when you read the complaint, it doesn't list any girl's name, so you can't cross-reference it. You can't go, okay, well, Frank and Angelo and Travis, I know they were in the room that night, but these other people whose names I'm reading, I know they
Are they
weren't
just trying to
with us
screw you
that
and
night.
make money out of you guys?
Well, it could be. Now, the thing is, though, as far as making money, there is a potential fine, but there's also they could revoke the brothel license. I
Yeah, but
mean,
they'll
it's
just fine
serious
you now.
business. They could fine you, yeah, and maybe there is a little money to be made there. But it's just very confusing as to
How do you go from 5 to 12?
how do you do that? And you had all the faces in front of you. See, now where I thought they might have possibly been confused is we have at any one time, maybe let's say a dozen girls, quote unquote, active. They may not be working in the house. Maybe they were there last week and they went back home to whatever state they live in. So another girl came in and replaced them. But
So
you can
there's
maybe
an active bench list.
there is a bench. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, there's a second string.
Okay.
You know,
As long as
practice.
there's only 5 people on the court, we're good.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you
okay,
know, it's like,
okay.
yeah, the sixth
Okay.
man essentially in a basketball game, right?
All right,
They're on
all
the
right.
bench, but they are wearing uniforms and they could come into the game, but you got to swap one out, right, for the other one. Okay. So,
But they didn't write the ticket at the time. They write it afterwards.
no, they basically wrote the complaint up at the time. We just didn't see it. They don't hand you a ticket. It's like it's filed through the county commissioners. So,
So
we're
the guy
served.
sat there right there and
Yeah.
wrote the complaint.
Yeah, or went back to his office and wrote. But I get, if your question is, did we know at the time that there was an issue? No, he did not.
When it would have made sense for you to be able to defend
Exactly.
yourself at that moment.
Exactly. He
Where's the
didn't-
other 6
Yes,
girls, right?
exactly. There was
7 girls.
not a word said about any of that, and that further complicates the issue. Is that there was no ability, and see, I wasn't there. The owner wasn't there. Only this cashier, who's a very competent lady, but she was the only person who was there on site, and he never said anything to her about, hey, there's an issue with any of this. She just showed him what she had. He said, thank you very much. He left, and that was it. Until later on, we're served, you know, with this complaint. And so when you read about this in the news, the thing that would scare me as a customer is the one that talks about the expired medical clearance. Because the way you read it in the news, it would lead you to believe that there's a girl working there who's not medically cleared to...
Do they have a name of the girl and show her medical?
No, and that's the problem, see? Now,
I mean, that makes no sense. It's
I
like,
know.
I got a speeding ticket on whose car? Yeah, on a car. One of your cars, we saw
Yeah.
speeding.
Take my word for it. We
Yeah.
saw you driving a car. That's absolutely right. It's as if, yes, that's a perfect analogy. They gave you a ticket without a license plate number or a location of where you were at or anything like that.
No, last month you were speeding.
Yeah. And see, with the expired medical clearance, those are only good for a week. So if you had been in the house working for a few weeks and then, you know, a week prior you had left to go home for a while, then guess what? A week later, yes, technically you will be expired even though your sheriff's card is still active. Now, when you come back in the house to come back to work, you have to go get a new medical exam. But to give him the benefit of the doubt, maybe this guy does not understand the way that the law works. But the problem is this has now gone in front of the county commissioners, and there's going to be a big hearing about it in a couple of weeks, and I'll have to be there I don't know what I'll be doing.
Well, I mean,
but
unless the guy's an idiot, then he'd be like, did you see 12 girls? No, there was 5 there. Okay.
yeah,
But
see,
he showed me the roster, and there was 12 on the roster. Okay, sir, do you understand that 7 of them were not there,
Right.
so they don't count no more
Yeah.
because they went home?
yeah, and see, to give benefit of the doubt, that's what I'm logically assuming will happen. It's just weird that that hasn't been cleared up before now, that we're actually getting all the way to this. We're all going to
Is that
have
a
this
new
big
guy?
hearing, and everybody's don't know. Don't know. I don't know anything about the makeup of the Nye County
injustices of
Sheriff's
all of
Department.
this.
Just when the moral of the story is, you think it's all glamorous, this legal prostitution game, but there's just as much red tape as anything else. So stay tuned. Travis, don't worry. You will hear first here the outcome of it and what
So does
comes
Travis
of it.
still have to learn about this shit through the paper, or do you give him a phone call now? Does he at least get insider information?
Jeez, I'd like to say I give him a phone call, but half the time he's tipping me off to stuff. I don't,
He's like,
yeah,
He
may
knows
have,
before you do.
Yeah, he may have the outcome.
He let you
before,
know that you guys were served.
Yeah, exactly. He may have the outcome before me. Do you want to? Hey, Travis, do you want more social media followers or no? It's your choice. We can plug how to find you on social media or not, but just know that now that you're a part of the show, people are going to they will start following you if you tell them where.
On Twitter, they can follow me at Scuba T Diving. That's just my diving stuff.
Okay, cool. I'm totally following you.
Oh, there you go. You picked up a follower. Scuba T Diving. T is in Travis. Scuba T Diving.
Yep, that's it. My Instagram and Facebook, it's private for family.
Okay. All right.
But if I click on, are we good?
For you.
All right, thanks, Travis.
What are you worming your way into his family Instagram? Boy, welcome.
That way I'll get the inside information before you do.
Welcome to the world, Angelo, Travis. You just got initiated.
Angelo doesn't know boundaries, man.
No. Perfect opportunity then for me to tell you about how you can follow the rest of us. How about that? First of all, the importance, a quick word about giving us those 5 stars on iTunes. We need to mention that. Go to our iTunes page, look up Phone Booth Fighting, click on the 5 stars, and that is tremendously helpful to us. And if you want to go even one step further and you have a couple of minutes, write us a favorable line or two. Frank and I will read those on the air. We need to do those the next couple episodes. Happy to share your kind words on the air. We thank you for doing that. It really does benefit us in terms of enhancing awareness of the podcast. You can follow me on social media at Richard Hunter. That's Twitter and Instagram. You can find me on Facebook at Official Richard Hunter. Frank Mir, you can find him on Facebook at Official Frank Mir. Twitter and Instagram is The Frank Mir. And before Frank tells you how to find the show, I'm going to give him an extra second to try to remember it, because we're going to or Angelo is going to tell everybody how to find him.
So you can find me on Twitter at Reyes Striking. Mm-hmm. And then on Instagram, it's Reyes Boxing. Mm-hmm. And you guys can find me on Facebook.
Have you been posting lately? I don't think I've seen you.
Dude, I use my Instagram for posting family stuff. I don't do anything.
Oh, you're like Travis.
I mean, yeah.
Can Travis jump in on the Reyes
Travis
family
is
now?
definitely a family.
Worming
Me and Travis, we're good, baby.
Okay.
We're fam.
Okay.
So I do a lot of Twitter stuff, and then you can find me on Facebook, Angelo Reyes. You'll see a picture of me and Frank working together on that one. And then Kate Side, please. KateSiders.com. And if you're in Vegas, watch the Action Channel, 7 a.m. or 6 p.m. on Fridays.
Okay.
You get to see our show.
All right, Frank, tell them how to find the show on social media.
Facebook and Instagram is Phone Booth Fighting. And if you like Snapchat and Twitter, it's Phone Booth Fight.
That's it, folks. Thanks to Stix Zadinia from Steel Panther for joining us earlier, the Angry Panda, Anthony Johns for coming on with us all the way from Australia. Thanks to Angelo Reyes for being here in studio. Travis doing an amazing job week after week of producing this show. He really is the wind beneath our podcasting wings, Frank. Yes. For Frank Mir, I'm Richard Hunter, and we'll see you next time on Phone Booth Fighting.